So I came to Advent because I was experiencing recurrent sinus infections. As a new mom, it was really kind of difficult.
Many of our patients complain of sinus infections. The headaches, fatigue, and nasal stuffiness have a profound effect on their lives.
I just felt like your sickness starts affecting your energy level and, the things that you really enjoy doing. That really was a breaking point for me.
So Molly came to Advent. Abnormally tight sinuses and swollen turbinates led to simple breathing triangle solutions that ended up taking about 20 minutes in office. And very soon thereafter, she was breathing freely.
I'm just in awe at the amount of air that that I'm able to breathe in and out each night, and I haven't had a sinus infection since the procedure.
I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. When you breathe well, you do live better.
Results may vary.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
The place to get caught up, to speak out, to connect and be entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
9:02, 62 degrees. The high today, 77. We are watching these strong storms move over the lake to the north, still clinging to shore there near the Sheboygan area. We'll keep an eye on that situation. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Eric Bilstead. We are following some breaking news regarding the election case out of Georgia. Former Trump campaign lawyer Jenna Ellis is pleading guilty in the subversion case to one count of aiding and abetting false statements in writing, and she will cooperate with prosecutors in Fulton County, Georgia. Now, prosecutors recommending 5 years of probation and some other restitution as well. Ellis, who has an active online presence, also banned from posting anything on social media about the case while the proceedings are unfolding against any of the defendants. That, according to prosecutors, the development comes after back-to-back guilty pleas last week in that case from former Trump campaign lawyers Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesbrough, who helped devise the fake electors plot. Here at home, no class or school activities in the Germantown School District. This following a shooting outside Kennedy Middle School on Monday night. The DOJ says Germantown police were called to the scene around 6:40 p.m. on a report of a subject acting erratically in the parking lot of Kennedy School. When officers arrived, the subject climbed onto the roof, exchanged gunfire with police. Here's some audio from Broadcastify.
Subject up on the roof. Looks like it's going to be northwest corner. He's wearing a backpack, possibly a ski mask or some kind of face cover. Shots fired, shots fired. 44 dispatch, shots fired. The subject appears to be down, working on status.
At the time the incident happened, 50 to 70 students were inside the school. They were later reunited with parents at MacArthur Elementary. The officers involved, of course, are on administrative leave. Residents making their voices heard in Menominee Falls, where the school district recently removed nearly 36 books from the high school library. It was a packed house at a school board meeting Monday night.
Rebecca Bannister held a sign that compared book bans to book burns. She says books are one of the most positive ways to get information.
You can't tell me half these kids aren't already Googling things they shouldn't be anyways, but a book from a well-known author like Toni Morrison to put on a ban is insane.
But during public comment, a recent graduate named Sandy said the school should be selective on available material.
It is very easy to get a hold of drugs in our high school. It has been a problem for a long time. Does that mean the school should allow drugs to be available in school?
Jack Grau, WTMJ News.
Time now for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Right now, the Dow is up 164, the S&P is up 20, and the NASDAQ is up 81. It's time for the Annex Wealth Management Tax Smart Planning Review. The review, assess, and provide strategies you can use. Go to annexwealth.com/tax-smart. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Side and Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:04.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful new retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Now I can have all the cookouts and get-togethers in my backyard with some extra shade and relaxation for my guests. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington. It provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Right now, you'll receive a free motor with the purchase of awnings or screens until the end of October. Call 414-AWNINGS for a free estimate or visit comfortawnings.com.
Surfer Boy Pizza. Nothing says spooky season like a stellar Surfer Boy pizza from Palermo's Pizza. Authentic flavor, a rad-looking box, and even better, Chance to win a grand prize trip to Las Vegas, including a shopping spree at the Stranger Things store. Oh, don't get caught in the upside down. Make sure you're picking up specifically marked Surfer Boy pizzas in the freezer section of your favorite store for your chance to win a trip to Vegas. Happy eating, bro chachos.
Don't think twice. Call Dice. Garage door broke. Do it right. Don't think twice. Call Dice. Need a new garage door, do it right. Don't think twice. Call Dice.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new CHI maintenance-free garage door. In fact, a recent study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%, ranking number 1 among all home improvement projects. To see our huge selection of doors, come visit us at our Brookfield location or view our online showroom at geistdoors.com. We have everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, call Geist at 262-784-4250 or visit us online at geistdoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geist. Don't think twice. Call Geist.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Bucs fans everywhere have reason to celebrate today. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Giannis and Milwaukee have agreed to a 3-year, $186 million contract extension on Monday. Bucs president Peter Fagan speaking on the offseason that was had in Milwaukee.
And this is injecting some found enthusiasm in what was already a championship-level team and kind of, upping the expectations.
The Bucs will officially open their season on Thursday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Texas Rangers will await the winner of the NLCS as they go on for the Game 7 11-4 win on Monday night against the Houston Astros. Philly and Arizona will face off with a Game 7 tonight. Game 1 of the World Series will begin on Friday in Texas. Week 7 of the NFL concluded on Monday night as the Vikings took down the Niners by a final score of 22-17. The Packers will play host to Minnesota, who have won their last 2 games this upcoming Sunday at Lambeau Field. And lastly, Wisconsin redshirt freshman quarterback Brady Locke was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week on Monday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
WTMJ, Johnson & Sons Paving, time saver traffic. Got trouble in Fond du Lac County, 41 south end northbound. You're seeing some slowdowns right around N there, so just north of Fond du Lac in that stretch there. They're dealing with a crash in that area. You'll get through it, but it is slowing you down just a bit. 94 eastbound, Highway 16 all the way into downtown is looking good. That's a 17-minute ride. 43 northbound, you're going to see some tightness from downtown up the Brown Deer Road, a couple extra minutes delayed there, and you're also going to see some brake lights in that stretch. 94 northbound from Layton into the Marquette is clear. That should be a 7-minute ride into the Marquette interchange.
Traffic is sponsored by Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee. Design Exchange is where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at 25 to 40% off retail prices in Heartland and Pewaukee.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast. There is a chance for these storms rolling through. They're to the far north, so hitting the Sheboygan area still as they move out over the lake. A high of 77 today elsewhere, though. Sunny and windy. Very warm today. Tonight, rain likely, cloudy, breezy, a low of 60. For Wednesday, some rain in the morning, otherwise cloudy and breezy, a high of 68. Thursday, storms are likely, cloudy, breezy, a high of 68. Friday, chance for showers, cloudy, a high of 68. Saturday, a little cooler, partly sunny, a high of 52. Right now in Milwaukee, 62 degrees. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:09.
Good morning, Wisconsin. It's WTMJ Now. News, opinions, Wisconsin. Everything you need to know in the Badger State and beyond. Come give us your thoughts on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Here's your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Sandy Max.
And good morning, everybody. I'm going to get right to it. Breaking news, as Eric Bilstead just told you. I'll ask the question this way. I'm going to get back to it later in the show, but I wanted to just hit this because this is important. This was one of those stories you should lean in on. If you're driving, just drive. Don't lean in. But if you're at home, lean in. Is the wall of election denial slowly crumbling? Breaking news. Jenna Ellis, the latest of the indictees in Georgia, pleading guilty and actually implicating Rudy Giuliani. So by my rough count, there's 18 defendants plus Donald Trump. I believe 6 now have pled guilty. Jenna Ellis being the latest. She's like the queen of election denial, by the way. Famously standing behind Rudy Giuliani at the hair dye incident press conference. Right-wing attorney, worked on the Trump 2020 campaign, now pled guilty to a criminal charge in the Georgia election interference case, not only getting herself probation, which I think is the driver for a lot of these guilty pleas, but more importantly, now will testify against the former presidents if asked, and of course, the point I just made implicating Rudy Giuliani. Why does this matter? What's the significance? It's not just somebody saying, you know what, I don't want to go to jail. It's more than that. This is a efforts by prosecutors to say, you know what? This all leads to one person. That person is Donald Trump, the leading candidate, by the way, for Republicans, which is mind-boggling, in my opinion, going into the primaries of next year. The leading candidate facing multiple indictments and, in the case of Fulton County, Georgia, significant charges, not that the other ones aren't. Lining up witnesses now for the prosecution, former allies of the former president, to testify about illegal activity. One by one. The goal here is clear. Make the case, including not just going back to the election denial thing, just saying things out loud because you hope they're true, which is essentially the core elements of the election denial era post-2020. Still an active thing in Wisconsin. The goal is to take these people down, make them testify against the former president in exchange for freedom, essentially, versus a jail cell, to testify against the former president. These are Republicans who are pleading guilty. They're not Democrats, they're not crazy left-wing nut jobs. Some of them you can call crazy right-wing nut jobs if you want to. I just call them allies of the president, former president. And the president's, if you've listened to any of his recent comments, showing the wear and tear of this, slurring words, saying things that aren't true, getting the names of foreign leaders wrong, just general misrepresentation of anything that's close to facts. And at some point in the future, voters, real voters, not people that are being polled about the popularity of the former president, which is all we have now, real voters are going to be asked this question. You're going to vote for a felon for president of the United States and expect to win that race? And the answer, of course, should be no. But in the crazy, mixed up, post-2020 world we live in, the answer for some people still is yes. As I said, I'll get to that topic again at some point in the show today, but that's the breaking news. Jenna Ellis, former attorney for the former president, somebody who worked on his 2020 campaign, who knows a lot of things about what was done, what wasn't done, what was said, now will be testifying against the former president. And as I said before in the open, she is the queen of election denial. And for that shoe to drop, pin to fall, whatever analogy you want to use, that's a big one. And of course, the biggest one is Rudy Giuliani, and she has implicated him apparently in her plea deal. It's a big story. Pay attention to it. And Republican voters, you want to win the race in 2024, you want to play games with this. If you choose the latter, you're part of the problem. After the break, remembering a veteran, remembering a friend, a good friend who passed away yesterday. Quick break.
More of WTMJ now after this.
Spaceship to Debbie. Come in, Debbie. Traffic is slowing down.
Yeah, Captain, there's an accident 2 miles ahead. Take the next exit for a quicker trip.
Making it through Milwaukee traffic isn't rocket science. Debbie Lazaga is looking out for you on the roads.
Traffic has woken up. We have an accident. We got a little bit of heavier traffic. We got pockets of heavy traffic. That's going to be tacking on a couple extra minutes there.
Follow her on Facebook and Twitter. Only on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ. Steve's gives you for Annex Wealth Management. When it comes to retirement, asking how am I doing is important. But if you're also wondering what you might be missing, that could be just as important. It's time to talk with Annex Wealth Management. Annex is a fee-only fiduciary. It's about you, not commissions. Take full advantage of the CFPs, CFAs, CPAs, and PhDs and attorneys that are on staff and part of your team working on investment, retirement, estate, and tax planning. Speaking of taxes, their Tax Smart Planning Strategies Review, which I've done, is something you should check out. Taxes are a drag on everybody's portfolio. It will help you create an efficient tax plan. Very important. No one is the same. Annex gets that. You might need help with your Social Security strategy. How about 401k options? Pension plan guidance, annuity analysis. When you're a client of Annex, help is only a visit or a quick phone call away. I've done it both ways. You will not be disappointed. You won't be sent to a call center 5 states away. Take action. Know the difference. Start at annexwealth.com.
Jason Rose is the president CEO of AccuRite Tax and Financial Services. They have document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
I think it's very accurate to call it a partnership because it's more of a relationship that you build up over time.
And your practice has had document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems for years.
Yep, they know what you need, they know how to help, they're able to provide suggestions on future improvements or changes.
James Imaging Systems, a 100% Wisconsin-owned and managed business technology company. Here for you today, helping you plan for the future.
It's a great deal. James Imaging is the real deal.
And Jason, the bottom line for your practice?
Keep us up and running, especially during tax season.
Keep your business up and running with document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
It's WTMJ Now.
Thanks for tuning in on this Tuesday edition. Every once in a while you meet people in life that change you and impact the way you think about things. And I lost a friend yesterday. It's not easy to talk about, and I apologize for getting emotional, but it is hard to talk about. David Pavlik, I've had him on the show. He was a Korean War veteran, just a great human being. 92 years old, passed away. And I'm going to play a little bit of an interview I did with him a few years ago. He's born on the 4th of July. I mean, this is a resume of greatness, right? A resume that stands out as somebody who not only deserves our respect, but earned our respect. Eagle Scout. Longtime scout leader. I said, born on the 4th of July. He owned his own business, Ducast Industries in West Dallas. Humble person. But more importantly, an example to the rest of us and to me. Here's a little bit of my interview I did with him a few years ago. You're in Korea and you find out your father died. Tell me that story.
Yeah, we just made the big retreat down to the south, got on a ship that was supposed to hold 1,500 with 7,000 guys on that thing. So the minute you got on the ship, the guy in front of you stopped, and that's where you slept. It was outside or inside. Jeez. Fortunately, I was inside in the hallway. But anyway, I got back to South Korea, and the very first morning in a rest camp, I get woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning by an officer with a telegram. He says, "This telegram's for you." I said, "What is it?" He says, "Your dad died." Oh. I says, "You got to be kidding. He's 43-year-old, tough as nails." He says, "Well, look at the address we've got here," and it was. So then I applied for emergency leave, which was 45 days, and went back to work for those 45 days. I had started apprenticeship in pattern making, and then so I had to leave some money for my mom. And then I went back and I applied for a hardship discharge, and they gave it to me because I was sole support of the family.
David Pavlik, 92 years old, passed away. I say rest in peace, but there's so much more I could say. It's an example of the people who served our country at the highest level. And I'm not confident that we have that in us, and I hope we do. And I'm going to talk a little bit about where the story goes next for Americans who seem to be stumbling around with anti-Semitism and rallying, my opinion, to the support of Israel. But I just wanted to mention David Pavlik. He passed away yesterday. And a tremendous human being a veteran, and a person that I looked up to and was always so kind to me. You'll be missed. Rest in peace, David Pavlik.
More of WTMJ now after this. Stay in touch. You can reach us on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old.
Hey, the future of joint pain relief is right here in Milwaukee. It's QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine, and it's amazing. Hey, it's Greg Matzik. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your own body's healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, or your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Hey, life is all about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call the local medical professionals and get a free consultation today. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Call 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Again, 414-285-3474.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Chris and Tim closed their first loan with Accunet $116,000 ago in terms of the median sales price in southeastern Wisconsin. We helped their daughter buy a home earlier this year, and now we're helping them buy their retirement condo. We're told there were 3 offers, 2 cash offers, and Chris and Tim's offer backed up by an Accunet rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. All 3 offers were probably over the asking price, but we're surmising Chris and Tim's offer was the highest because when the sellers asked the listing broker if they could count on the offer with the pre-approval letter, the answer was simply, Accunet really does their homework. It's not easy to beat a cash offer over the asking price, but that's exactly what Tim and Chris did with some help from their trusted family mortgage lender. If you don't think the lender's name on your pre-approval letter matters, think again. It's still a seller's market in the Badger State, so click on the blue button at Accunet.com today to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
WTMJ Now.
We're going to be joined by Dan Schaefer in a little bit here talking about some Wisconsin political stories. He joins me every Tuesday morning at 9:30. Right here on WTMJ. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. You can find us all over the place. Of course, over the air, and we still have a lot of those folks. The stream, WTMJ.com, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are available. And I love the fact that people watching the stream from around the world now. So thanks and a shout out and a wave to all of you folks. And I appreciate all the kind words about the passing of my friend David Pavlik. He was a great, great American, great human being, and someone that will be missed by his family, who I know very well. I'm going to wrap this half hour with something that has been on my mind. I've talked a little bit about it. And it has to do with the reaction to the war in Israel. Of course, we know about the attack a little more than 2 weeks ago. Hamas crosses the border in many different ways, slaughtering innocent civilians on a Saturday, what was a peaceful Saturday in Israel. And since then, I could sum up my reaction this way from how Americans, for the most part, I'll focus my attention on Americans, how we're reacting to that story. This two sides argument, which some people want to make. I understand why you're making it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I have any ill will against Palestinians, but I'll say this as strongly as I can say with maybe, and I may hurt your feelings, maybe not. Hamas should not represent the interests of Palestinians. If Palestinians allow Hamas to represent them, then they're going to suffer a fate that they probably don't want to. And lately, the argument has been, well, look how Israel's reacting. Look how they're cutting off supplies. There are supplies in Gaza. They're just controlled by Hamas, who are not giving them to the innocent civilians. They're not protecting their own people. If you think that Hamas represents Palestinians, which I don't. They represent terrorism. They represent a group of individuals who are so evil, they advocate for the killing, justifying it with a religious text, which no one should endorse, regardless of your ethnicity, your race, your creed, your faith, whatever. And when I see people getting in the face of Jewish people in our communities who are just trying to pray or grieve, taunting them, ripping down posters that are really just a form of what can I do to grieve with my fellow citizens of Israel? And I was going to do a whole half hour on this, but I don't know that I need to. So I'm just going to say what I want to say. If you think that Hamas represents Palestinians, you're part of the problem. Palestinians are good people. I know people of that descent, many who live right here in Wisconsin. And they are not people who openly advocate for the destruction of Israel or the killing of innocents. So you might say, Steve, what about the innocents who are being killed in Gaza? That's the cost of war. Are you grieving for the 38 million innocent civilians who were killed during the entire course of World War II, which is like 3 times the number of soldiers killed? Do you grieve for them? Did you ask for reparations for their families? Did you want the Allies to stop bombing because innocents were being killed? And the answer, of course, is no. There are hard decisions to make in this world, especially difficult given that we have people who are insane and are committed to the destruction of another group of people based on faith. That's never a logical argument. You can frame it in academics, you can frame it in religion, you can frame it however you want. That's not a common sense argument that anybody with a brain that functions should accept. So I will push back to people who make this both sides argument, and I'm disgusted by what I see from journalists, and I'm a guy that defends journalists, who are trying to make it that. It's not that. This is not happening today. The events of the world are not happening today if Hamas doesn't invade Israel 2 weeks ago and beheads and burns and stabs and shoots innocent Israeli citizens. Oh, by the way, it goes beyond that. These guys were so insane, these terrorists, they killed members of the Muslim community. People had nothing to do with the Jewish faith, or even Israel, for that matter. Indiscriminate killing. And I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings, but at some point, common sense has to prevail. And I was just talking about my friend David Pavlik, who passed, where people in the United States, they knew what they had to do. They knew what their task was. We have to stop this axis of evil, root it out, kill it, so the rest of the world can heal. Those are hard calls. And I encourage folks, even if you're a anti-war peacenik, to go visit the beaches of Normandy like I did last year. Go visit the American Cemetery at Normandy. You want to see sacrifice? You want to see someone that stands up for a country? I'm embarrassed daily by people in our country celebrating the freedoms that soldiers have given us all by yelling out loud for the destruction of Israel, for taunting Jewish Americans, for tearing down posters of children who have been kidnapped by Hamas. An innocent act to put a poster up just trying to grieve with the folks in Israel. And last point, if you're one of those people who tears one of those posters down, prepare to be identified, prepare to lose your job, and maybe your house when you don't have a job, including dentists, lawyers, college professors. You have a right to your opinion. You don't have a right to commit violence or threaten violence to another person. That's where that ends. That's also a hard reality. So get used to it. This isn't a two-sides argument. And if you try to make that argument, you're in bed with terrorists, my opinion. Quick break.
More of WTMJ now after this.
You can find affordable holiday decor at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. Find cute Christmas decorations, ornaments, trees, and home decor, all at thrift store prices. Gift cards are also available for that shopper on your Christmas list. You'll never overspend on holiday items from St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd in Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Old National Bank.
I just got your home equity loan, and this feeling of joy and exhilaration overcame me.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon we call getting old.
Wow, so I'm not the only one?
No, small business owners feel it with expansion loans. Families feel it when they're setting up trusts and 529s. Nonprofits who need financing to help the community. And anyone who needs investment advice, they all feel it.
So it's not just me?
No, you're in a pretty big club.
Like a club I can join?
I really don't.
Is there at least a secret handshake?
Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Old National. Get old. Member FDIC.
At Semper Fi, we wholeheartedly believe that our reputation is everything. And around the office and work sites, I like to say that our reputation is like the little campfire we all huddle around for life. And every time we produce a project, we all have to take a little piece of that fire, and it's our responsibility to keep it going. Every time we keep a promise, it fuels the fire. Every time we deliver on an expectation, it fuels the fire. We started out as a mom and pop roofing shop, and the reputation we've built and our commitment to it has made us into the company we are today. I've found that people really value a company that truly cares about their reputation, and I know that it attracts the kind of like-minded individuals that we're proud to have on our team. At Semper Fi, we work hard not to tarnish our reputation, and that's what will make your decision to work with us one you won't regret. We're Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, and you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
WTMJ Now.
Alright, he joins me every Tuesday morning, 9:30. Dan Schaefer, political columnist. The recombobulation area, how do folks find out about it real quick? It's great writing on politics.
You can, of course, find me at therecombobulationarea.news or on Substack, therecombobulationarea.substack.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Dan R. Schaefer, where I will occasionally tweet about things other than my beloved Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, we'll get to the Bucks because that's a big story. Obviously, Giannis is re-upping, which to all those knuckleheads who said he was looking for ways out of Milwaukee, this is why I hate sports. I don't hate, but the bad sports takes are so thick and numerous that this is one of the just got blown up quickly yesterday, so I love that.
Yeah, we get to kind of bask in it as Bucks fans now. Bring back those old takes and show all those ESPN commenters just how wrong they were.
So the topic du jour today is one that I think a lot of people are tuned into, and there's a lot of strong feelings, and there's a political divide on this, and it has to do with funding for childcare, right? Mm-hmm. So keeping those centers open. A lot of this funding was ramped up during the pandemic, right? They kept these places open. So the argument has been, on one side, this allowed the workforce to go to work, to be able to supply those jobs that manufacturers, builders of things, people who provide services needed. Now, the governor, Tony Evers, has proposed numbers like $340 million. Republicans in the legislature have come back with much smaller numbers. What context do you provide to this debate?
Yeah, so I think, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but childcare advocates and providers and whatnot who I've been talking to, I've been covering this issue, have referred to childcare as the workforce behind the workforce. So this is, I think for so many parents of young children, and I'm a parent of young children, this is such a huge issue. And we really need access to quality childcare. There was a report recently that showed that the cost of childcare in Wisconsin is now greater than the cost of going to a school in the UW system. It's more expensive to put your child through a few years of childcare than to put your kid through 4 years at UW-Madison, which is a big deal.
As the grandparent of three, and I see and hear the cost of my daughters and their husbands' childcare, it's like a house payment, sometimes more than that. I don't think a lot of people realize how much money we're talking.
Yeah, it's a significant amount of parents' income, right? It's way too high. Most studies say it should be at a certain rate. We're much higher than what it should be. And so, like you mentioned, during the pandemic, there was some of the relief dollars went to keeping a lot of those childcare centers open. In Wisconsin, that meant funding a program called Childcare Counts. Now, Childcare Counts was yes, funded by the pandemic, but it was something that was in the works before that. It was something that providers and Department of Children and Families, the Evers administration, had recognized was going to be a main issue. They were developing some things before the pandemic hit. So to say this is entirely a pandemic policy isn't quite right, but it has been funded by those dollars, which are now expiring, and now many states are taking it upon themselves to fund childcare. You know, our neighbors over in Minnesota just put more than $700 million towards childcare and early care education, things like that. A lot of other states are taking different, various innovative approaches, and Wisconsin's Childcare Counts program is something that Tony Evers has proposed in basically making it a part of the state budget going forward. Now, Republicans in the state budget process voted that out in a vote held at 2:30 in the morning, I remind you. And, you know, that of course, Tony Evers could veto things out of the budget. He couldn't put things back in, so he couldn't put that back in. So he called the special session. And the special session we had, instead of gaveling in, gaveling out, they just kind of gavelled in and then more or less went home. But what happened was the Senate did take it in a committee hearing, the state Senate, and discussed it. I think it was a really interesting committee hearing. You had Republicans basically insinuating on that committee that instead of funding childcare, that people should just instead stay home with their kids.
Yeah, essentially that was the argument.
Right.
And I'm going to ask. Let me just ask you the big question. So whenever I have this debate about childcare, and you can actually make the same debate about absolving people's student loan debt. Why should I pay for your childcare? That's the argument. That's the talk and text argument about paying for someone else's childcare. Why should I, who doesn't have kids in childcare or paid for my own childcare for my kids, pay for yours?
I think it's first and foremost, it's an investment in our youngest Americans. It's an investment in our youngest Wisconsinites, and an investment in working families. And so I think, we do all kinds of things, all kinds of programs at very different levels. Obviously, K-12 education, college education, things like that. We don't really do a whole lot in this country for people between the ages of 0 and 5, right? We, maybe pre-K has expanded to a certain degree or whatever, but a lot of that brain development happens in the years between 0 and 3. And so I think the more we invest in childcare, it's going to pay off in the long term, making a more stable environment for families, a more stable environment for kids. And I think ultimately this is evolving the way the workforce is evolving now too, where you have two parents who either need to be or are to just maintain their careers in the workforce.
Cost of living, inflation, wages not meeting that challenge.
I saw some Republican commenters on Twitter saying that childcare is always it's a choice. It's not always a choice for families. It's I think it's a pretty privileged type of mentality to say that this is a choice. I think a lot of working families need childcare in order to make ends meet.
What are manufacturers or manufacturing organizations saying to this issue?
Well, I know that the right-wing lobbying group, the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, put in their report not too long ago that this was a real issue in Wisconsin, that finding quality childcare was an issue for employers, for employees. We heard it all throughout the state budget process, too. Even before they voted it out of the committee, I saw Joint Finance Co-Chair Howard Markline mentioned that in their listening sessions, childcare was one of the top issues that they heard about. So I think to a certain extent, addressing this issue is about being pragmatic, about listening to your voters, about going through the process. And this is something that more and more working families rely on, and we're by disinvesting in it, we are running the risk of letting thousands, and I say thousands based on this, multiple studies, some from nonpartisan, some from other places, but multiple studies saying thousands of daycare centers in Wisconsin could close without new funding.
Dan Schaefer joining us at WTMJ now. I'll take a break. I want to ask you about the timeline. So if funding doesn't happen, how does that start to impact the workforce? And sort of a bigger picture question, because I'm more concerned with action than just people, writing press releases and talking, is there a C word compromise here available to the legislature and the governor? Dan Schaefer, our guest. We'll continue the conversation. If you have a question or feedback, 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank talk and text line. More of WTMJ Now after this.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
Hey, Brian. I think it's time to get serious about new windows and front door for our home.
I agree. It will save us money in the long run to eliminate the draft.
I was thinking more about our curb appeal, but yes, the draft thing too.
J&J Contractors in Greendale have been around for 40 years and have great reviews.
Go give them a call.
J&J Contractor's skilled and certified team uses high-quality materials for all your exterior needs. J&J Contractors do it all. Windows, doors, siding, roofing, and gutters.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. My house is beautiful. It's been transformed. My wife is happy. Wisconsin Granite Design has one-of-a-kind custom slabs to choose from. They've got it all. Granite, quartz, marble. One of the largest showrooms in the Midwest. 2 to 3 weeks. That's the process from beginning to end. They did the work in our house. It was easy. They were there on time. They cleaned up, and we've got the best-looking granite in the neighborhood. Almost 80 years of experience. It's Wisconsin Granite Design. WisconsinGraniteDesign.com. A locally owned, woman-owned business. Wisconsin Granite Design.
Radon, the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. The EPA equates high radon levels to smoking 8 cigarettes every day. Why risk it? When I learned about the dangerous radon levels in our home, Lifetime Radon Solutions helped protect me and my family. Lifetime Radon was in and out of our home in less than a day with a quick, clean radon mitigation install by experienced and professional technicians who guarantee results. Protect your family like I did and call Jen or Taylor at Lifetime Radon today. LifetimeRadon.com.
Do the changing seasons have you dreaming of that perfect sun-kissed getaway? From the Caribbean and Mexico to Hawaii or Florida, Fox World Travel's expert travel advisors can recommend their favorite beach resorts with Apple Vacations or island-hopping cruises with Princess Cruises and Royal Caribbean. What are you waiting for? Don't miss out on the best savings of the season. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO. There are memories to be made, and Fox has the expertise to get you there.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlands.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, best-selling author, and founder of the Neal Group, with over 40 years of experience helping businesses make money and keep it. 2023 is almost over. How are you doing? Do you even know how you are doing? Do you have money in the bank? Are you getting the advice you need to minimize your taxes and put more money in your pocket? Do your calls get returned and questions answered? We help you look at your numbers and understand what they mean. How would you like an extra $10,000 or $100,000 in your pocket? We can help you now, before the end of the year. Using tried and true strategies, we have helped countless businesses increase their profits and lower stress. Our Neal deal guarantees you'll increase your profit or you don't pay us. Really. If you want to get started on the road to making more money and having less stress, visit nealgroup.net right now. That's NEAL group.net. The first meeting is free to see if we can help. Again, nealgroup.net.
WTMJ Now.
Continuing the conversation with my friend Dan Schaefer, political columnist from the recombobulation area. We're talking about child care, the funding. Governor Evers has asked for $300+ million. Republicans have responded in much different ways, in much different numbers, often less than $20 million. And we've talked a little bit about the reasoning why this matters. We even asked the big question, why should I pay for someone else's child care? And there's legitimate reasons why some of us should. So let's talk about where we're at now, timelines for resolving or fixing whatever ails us in this area. And 2, is there room for compromise between two vastly different positions on this important issue?
Yeah, the Republicans and Democrats are really far apart on this issue.
About as far as you can get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think you know some of the solutions that Republicans have proposed. You know, some of it has been deregulation, which basically making an already difficult job pretty much harder by growing the ratios of teacher to student, making the childcare providers who frankly aren't making what they should be, making that job even more difficult. I saw when that proposal was introduced, I saw some providers quoted as saying that this would make them want to leave the field entirely. So that didn't seem like a particularly good solution. One that did seem like a good solution was the revolving loan fund that they proposed. It was about $15 million, just for different facilities that might have to, make an upgrade, meet something up to code, put a fence in the backyard, something like that. I thought that was a pretty good proposal. But on the whole, I think the Republican proposals, what they don't do is fund childcare, and they don't fund the Childcare Counts program, which I think you have to recognize has been a pretty successful one. The Wisconsin Policy Forum, a nonpartisan group that does a lot of political analysis of public policy.
I had Rob Henkin on the show last week.
Rob's terrific. So the Wisconsin Policy Forum honored the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families' work on childcare with its inaugural Award on Innovation in State Government for the Child Care Accounts program. So I think you can say, oh, you're throwing money at a program. It's not always going to fix it. But this is a program that has proven demonstrable results. It has an award for innovation in government from the nonpartisan source like the Wisconsin Policy Forum. And it has increased wages for people working in the industry from an average of about $10.50 an hour to around $13 an hour. And it has also stabilized a long-term decline in the number of child care centers in the state of Wisconsin. For 15 years, we have lost child care facilities in the state of Wisconsin. Under child care accounts for the past 2 years, this is the first time that has stabilized. So I think if we're not going to fund this program, which has demonstrable results, what's the solution here that's going to keep these places open? Republicans keep talking about tax cuts and whatever. Well, you're not going to be able to cut taxes on a place if it's not open.
So a lot of texters, I'm kind of paraphrasing some of these, are asking about how do you, whatever program you choose, whether it's child care accounts or whatever version of that or style of child care you utilize in a state when taxpayers are paying some of that bill, how do you standardize or regulate to the point where there's not fraud or scams? Because we've had stories before child care accounts of people that were scamming people in some of these businesses.
Mm-hmm. I think it's always important to have strong oversight of any public program like this. Absolutely, to be auditing the programs, looking into the details, really getting into the weeds. But I also think that you have to consider the long-term implications of what this might mean. And I think when Tony Evers proposed this as a special session, he put it under the umbrella of workforce and the workforce challenges. Well, one of the biggest challenges that the state of Wisconsin is facing is a workforce shortage. And now if childcare becomes more expensive and parents have to leave the workforce to come home and care for their children, that's only going to exacerbate the problem even further. So I think what we really need to do in Wisconsin is invest in working families and invest in a program that has proven demonstrable results for working families. And I have to commend Governor Tony Evers on this issue too, because he has been all over it. He's been visiting child care facilities all over the state. He's been making this a priority. And I think, he is listening to the reality that working families are facing, that this is becoming a bigger and bigger problem and we have to deal with it.
You use the term reality. So in the reality of this state we live in, is there a common ground, a compromise on this issue between the Republican-led legislature and the Democratic governor?
Yeah, I think, there are, like I mentioned, I think that revolving loan program is something that, perhaps the governor should consider signing. But I think also the fact that in the counter proposal on the special session from Senate Republicans, they got rid of all of the funding for child care accounts. And so Tony Evers had to tap some emergency funds, one-time emergency funds that were about half the total. So it was about $170 million for child care accounts as opposed to the $360 million that he was proposing in the special session. So really a halfway one, it buys a little bit of time. And I think maybe if we get around the corner here, toward the next state budget, something like that, we need to really examine what a long-term future for actually funding childcare is. Because right now, Wisconsin only funds childcare as a manner to administer the federal funds that the state receives. Most other states have a line item for childcare in their budget. Wisconsin does not.
That would be an example of forward thinking, which I hear a lot about, but I often don't see an active demonstration of in the state of Wisconsin.
That's true. And I think we also have to reflect on what happened in the last decade in Wisconsin. The 2010s, according to a study by Forward Analytics, which is part of the Wisconsin Counties Association, was the slowest population growth decade on record in the state of Wisconsin. And so I think we need to start looking for different solutions, because we had the tax cuts and austerity of the Walker era, of the Voss era, did not produce results. And so I think we need to start looking at some more creative solutions and take a different path.
Interesting time in Wisconsin government. All right, we're going to shift to a fun topic after the break, because I know you're a Bucks big fan.
You could say that.
What term would you use?
Diehard, super fan, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Was it you that I saw posted yesterday, Milwaukee, like 100 times in a text? Was that you, or a tweet?
Yeah, that was me.
Yes,
that was me.
It's a big story. The Giannis signing with Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation area. We'll have him give you his information on how, and you can read his great writing on Wisconsin politics and more after this on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this. Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we discuss Roth conversions, but be careful. It can affect your premiums for your Medicare.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
At SimpliSafe, our award-winning home security has advanced sensors, HD cameras, and now this 24/7 LiveGuard protection. Only from SimpliSafe. Monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Now get 45% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Siding Unlimited, named the best window installers, not just here, but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 3-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows, you call Siding Unlimited. First and directly, sidingunlimited.com.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Pain relief and gimmicks. The two seem to go hand in hand, and it really is a shame, because when you're living with chronic pain, you're vulnerable. And that's why so many people get tricked into buying unproven treatments. At Rejuvenex, we understand how you suffer, how you wait to get out of bed because you know the pain is coming. Chronic pain from osteoarthritis is a terrible thing, and that's why we use our proprietary, powerful, FDA-approved treatments to precisely target your affected areas, to provide cushion and lubrication that helps deliver long-lasting pain relief in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We're in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. It's WTMJ Now.
The Bucks are what's hot.
Yeah. Dan Schaefer's in studio, host of the writer of the Recombobulation Area. And again, real quick, how do people find it?
You can find me at the recombobulationarea.news, Recombobulation Area on Substack.
All right, so you and I are both big Bucks fans, and if you want to talk about championships, they're the most recent winner of a championship in professional sports in Wisconsin. Is it 3 years ago or 4 years ago?
It was 2021.
Okay, so
yeah.
2 years ago. God, It seems like so long ago. I want another one, Dan Schaefer. So the big news yesterday: Giannis re-upping. Sounds like this immensely talented basketball player and a big fan of Wisconsin and Milwaukee going to be sticking around. What, 2029?
Yeah, how great is this? That Giannis is recommitting to the city of Milwaukee. You know, we had for so many years so many different athletes and come through Milwaukee, whether it was the Brewers or the Bucks, seemed like a launching pad to a career elsewhere. And for Giannis to not only commit to the Milwaukee the way he did a few years ago with the Supermax, delivered a championship for the ages to the city a couple years ago, he's now recommitting for the long term. And I would say bucking the trend of NBA superstars jumping to bigger markets to team up with other superstars.
I asked this question of a teammate before the show. How unique is Giannis from a professional sports perspective? He's
a one-of-one
he's a wild
type of
cat.
character.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe it's a story of how he got here, but
Yeah, you could. He's literally has a Disney movie made about his life. Yeah. It's a remarkable story, and just thinking back to that first year for him in Milwaukee when they only won 15 games or something like that. But he showed so many flashes, and we had games like when his family finally made it to Milwaukee and was in the crowd going nuts cheering him on. Some of those moments. I feel like we as Milwaukee sports fans have really watched him grow up in the city in so many ways, and now it's such a joy. This will be his 11th year in Milwaukee, and now committing for 4 or 5 more, depending on kind of the player options at the end of it, basically. But to have this caliber of player in Milwaukee long term is just remarkable.
This is a sort of related question I was thinking about when you were talking there. So, does any of this rub off to the Brewers or the Packers? This kind of dedication to the local sports team, from a player. I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, Bart Starr was that example for the Packers. He loved Green Bay, and he continued to come back years after he was a coach for a while. And Brewers, Robin Yount, probably, right?
Sure. Yeah. I think it's different with Giannis, though. I think he's brought a different level of, because I think at the end of the day he's going to go down as one of the best 20 players in NBA history, and has a chance to deliver multiple titles to a city that nobody ever thought would be in contention for a championship. I'm as a longtime Bucks fan, I never really even thought that they would win a championship.
I was around for the first one,
multiple
so
ones.
I was a youngster, but I was around for it, and it was an amazing day. And I was very young then, but I can remember the excitement of then Lou Alcindor, and then eventually Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Oscar Robertson bringing that championship here, which was unbelievable then, and then getting, 50 years later, the chance to do it. I mean, I got to host the WTMJ broadcast of the parade. That was a thrill of a lifetime.
Amazing. And I was at that parade.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. So do you think with the acquisition of Lillard, who's, a top 75 all-time NBA player, we obviously got Chris Middleton, Lopez, a bunch of other key pieces, I like their chances.
I do too. I think, and you mentioned Oscar Robertson. I know the Bucks marketing has taken some photos that mirror some of those from the early 70s with Giannis and Lillard, putting them next to the Kareem and Oscar Robertson ones. Yeah. So I think that's a fun comparison to the team's history. But I think if Middleton gets back healthy, Lopez has been terrific. I think they got a really interesting mix of pieces. We'll see how new coach Adrian Griffin does, first-time head coach with a championship contending roster. That could pose some challenges as well. But I don't like to make predictions, but my what I always stand by is, as long as we have Giannis, I like our chances.
Yeah, I would agree. And this is something else that maybe just bothers me, maybe it bothers you. It's not disrespect, but the lack of appreciation for how good Giannis is from other NBA scribes or fans. It seems like they're like, he's just Giannis, and not the incredible talent that he is.
Yeah, I think it's, he doesn't come from the type of conventional background, so sometimes he doesn't play in a conventional way. And so perhaps sometimes you get some NBA former stars or something like that saying like, oh, he doesn't have this in his bag, he doesn't have this and that and whatever. But I think, what he does on both ends of the court and what he does, as a scorer on the inside and that putting that constant threat at the opposing defense of scoring at the rim is just it's just remarkable. And I think, he's also a willing passer, one of the best rebounders in the league, gets blocks and steals, things like that. So he really fills up the stat sheet. So I think those types of players can go unappreciated if it's not just the step back threes and the remarkable scoring and things like that. Giannis does a lot of the dirty work too.
It's going to be fun watching those games this year. So an exciting season ahead. Maybe it takes some of the stink off what might be a tough Packers season to watch.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I remain a little optimistic about the Packers. They played a lot of road games so far.
Yeah, we'll
see what it looks like when they get back home.
Dan Schaefer, always a pleasure to talk to you. Recombobulation area. One more time where they can find it.
You can find it at the Recombobulation Area.news. The Recombobulation Area on Substack. You can find me on Twitter at Dan R. Schaefer.
See you next Tuesday. The news is next on WTMJ.
WTMJ Now.
Poor Jack Skellington. It can get terribly boring being the Pumpkin King. But what if he could take over Christmas? Now that would be something spooktacular. Come, and experience all of the mad, merry mayhem that ensues when the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra performs The Nightmare Before Christmas live to film October 28th and 29th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Conductor Nicholas Buck will lead the MSO in Danny Elfman's macabre masterpiece of a score as Tim Burton's beloved stop-motion musical plays on the big screen. Are Christmas and Santa Claus doomed? Find out when you come to The Nightmare Before Christmas live to film with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. Tickets are selling fast, so call now for yours, 414-291-7605 or online at mso.org.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
10 o'clock, 64 degrees, a high today of 77 with some sunshine, also very windy. There's still a slight chance for a storm to pop up here and there. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Eric Bilstead. We are following breaking news this morning out of Georgia. Attorney Jenna Ellis now pleading guilty to a reduced charge over efforts to overturn Donald Trump's 2020 election loss in Georgia. Ellis saying today that she has deep remorse for what she did. She is the fourth defendant now to enter into a plea deal with prosecutors, pleading guilty to a felony count of aiding and abetting false statements and writings. Now, CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson weighs in on the decision and what it could mean for the former president.
Ultimately, this is not good for the former president. I think Trump, one, wanted to be able to rely on a defense called assistance of counsel. And when you have three of your counsels pleading guilty to criminal violations, that becomes more complicated, to say the least.
The former president, meanwhile, entering court in New York. Courtroom at the New York Supreme Court for his civil trial this morning. Upset at his former lawyer, Michael Cohen.
He's a proven liar, as you know. He's a felon. Served a lot of time for lying, and we're going to just go in and see, and I think you'll see that for yourself.
Michael Cohen expected to testify in court today against his old boss as a key witness in the New York civil fraud trial that threatens to upend Mr. Trump's real estate empire and the wealthy image. Walking in the court, Cohen had this to say.
I'm looking forward to the reunion.
He'll be in there today. Here at home, no school today in Germantown. This after a police shooting at Kennedy Middle School. An armed suspect had climbed onto the roof Monday night, running from police when the suspect fired at officers. Police returned fire. The suspect was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, there were more than 50 students inside the school at the time for various activities Monday evening. They were later reunited with their parents. A new partnership announced today between the new Milwaukee Public Museum and Culver's.
The partnership will include $1 million from Culver's as a donation towards the Public Museum's new Milwaukee Revealed Gallery. That will include a custard shop where visitors can experience the sights and sounds of custard shops both past and present from Milwaukee's history. Notably absent will be any actual custard. As Museum VP of Development Julie Quinlan-Brame tells me, it's important to keep the exhibits that are real in the museum from any real damage caused by the tasty treat. In Glendale, Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
The head of the state DNR is leaving after less than a year on the job. Secretary Adam Payne sending a letter to the governor on Friday stating that he would leave on November 1 and retire next year. Says he wants to focus more attention on his personal health. Payne was appointed by the governor in 2022, began leading the agency in January, replacing Preston Cole. Spokesperson for the governor says they will work quickly to name a replacement. Time now for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Things looking good right now on Wall Street. The Dow is up 261 to 33,197. The NASDAQ is up 121 to 13,140. And the S&P is up 32 to 42.49. It's time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to nxwealth.com and click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Side and Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 10:04.
Surfer Boy Pizza. Nothing says spooky season like a stellar Surfer Boy Pizza from Palermo's Pizza. Authentic flavor, a rad-looking box, and even better, chance to win a grand prize trip to Las Vegas, including a shopping spree at the Stranger Things store. Oh, don't get caught in the upside down. Make sure you're picking up specifically marked Surfer Boy pizzas in the freezer section of your favorite store for your chance to win a trip to Vegas. Happy eating, brochachos!
For those who just can't wait for Black Friday, head over to Fleet Farm today for great Black Friday Now deals. Like a free battery pack with Milwaukee heated jackets, in-store only. Or 40% off all men's Field and Forest flannel. And don't miss our trick-or-treating event on Saturday, October 28th from 10 till noon. With treats for the first 200 kids and gift cards for best costumes. Enjoy Black Friday savings now at Fleet Farm, home of everything you need for everyday life.
Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. My lower back and neck feel so much better after a few months' care with Dr. Alex and his team. But here's the thing. It's not only neck and back. Testimonials from my fellow patients. One young lady said, my stomach feels better. Another woman said she no longer has pain in her knees. Many patients talk about getting better sleep. It's worth a consultation with Connect Chiropractic to see how they can help. Book your first appointment at goconnectchiro.com.
You've probably heard some things about Social Security. Some of them true, some of them not. But here's the main thing. Social Security is here for you today, and it will be here for you tomorrow. Find out what Social Security means for you and your family. Attend a special town hall at the Tripoli Shrine Center on Wednesday, November 1st, sponsored by AARP Wisconsin. For more information, visit MilwaukeeTownHall.org. That's MilwaukeeTownHall.org. This ad paid for by the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Bucs fans everywhere have reason to celebrate today. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Giannis and Milwaukee have agreed to a 3-year, $186 million contract extension on Monday. Bucs president Peter Fagan speaking on the offseason that was had in Milwaukee.
And this is injecting some found enthusiasm in what was already a championship-level team and kind of, upping the expectations.
The Bucs will officially open their season on Thursday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Texas Rangers will await the winner of the NLCS as they go on for the Game 7 11-4 win on Monday night against the Houston Astros. Philly and Arizona will face off with a Game 7 tonight. Game 1 of the World Series will begin on Friday in Texas. Week 7 of the NFL concluded on Monday night as the Vikings took down the Niners by a final score of 22-17. The Packers will play host to Minnesota, who have won their last 2 games this upcoming Sunday at Lambeau Field. And lastly, Wisconsin redshirt freshman quarterback Brady Locke was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week on Monday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Checking the WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. 94 eastbound, Highway 16 through the zoo and into downtown. So far, so good there. That should be about a 17-minute ride, so no real issue getting into downtown. 4145 south, Highway Q to the zoo is on time as well. That's a 15-minute trip. 43 southbound Brown Deer Road into the city. You might see a little bit of slowdowns here and there just because of the road work and whatnot. So a couple of brake lights, but for the most part, you're fine. In 94 northbound, looking good from Layton into the Marquette. 7-minute trip.
Traffic is sponsored by Weisgerber's Golden Mast Inn, your place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Looking for a perfect wedding venue? Open air terrace nestled over Okachi Lake. Weisberger's Golden Mast. Have it all at the lake. Your wedding place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunshine, windy, very warm today. A high of 77 with a slight chance still of a storm perhaps. We saw some heavier storms roll in earlier to the north. Tonight, rain likely, mostly cloudy, breezy, a low of 60. For Wednesday, rain likely in the morning, otherwise breezy, a high of 68. Thursday, storms likely, a high of 68. Friday, chance of showers, a high of 68. Saturday, chance for showers and a high of 52. Right now, in Milwaukee, it is currently 63 degrees. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
It's WTMJ Now. News, opinions, Wisconsin. Everything you need to know in the Badger State and beyond. Here's your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Sandy Max.
And good morning. Happy to have you with me on this journey through the stories of the day. We start with the Jenna Ellis breaking news, pleading guilty, one of, I think, is it 4 or 5 co-defendants in the Fulton County, Georgia indictments. And I said it before, I'll say it again. It seems like the prosecutors are going after each and every one of these folks so that it's one man left standing, that man being the former president, and then that case gets all the attention it deserves, a president and his role in election denying and election interference and other more significant RICO charges. But I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. I've talked about education a lot on this show. I've met many people away from the show to sort of build up my knowledge of our educational system, whether that's librarians, whether that's language specialists, principals, school board members. I encourage you all to do that because you'll have a much better understanding of how hard it is to educate in the current climate in this country. But I saw this story yesterday, and it is one that my initial reaction is, why are we doing this? And I'm looking to, and this could be teachers, could be administrators, retired or currently working, on your take on this. Here's the headline. Oregon, state of Oregon, says students don't need to prove mastery of reading, writing, or math to graduate, citing harm to students of color. That's the headline from OregonLive.com. If you want to find the story, it's in the education section of that online publication. And I'm thinking about this from the perspective of, is this the right message to be sending at this moment? Should we be encouraging students not to master what they're supposed to be learning? We know that for lack of the new language that we use, reading, writing, and arithmetic are important. I think they are. I think they still are. We know that the curriculum when I was a student and the curriculum now is vastly different with many more classes and alternatives for the choices that students and parents make when you're trying to educate a child and probably more importantly get a high school diploma. So what does this mean? So in many states, including Wisconsin, there's standardized testing. And in Oregon, they're basically saying, at least for a period of the next few years, they're not going to use these standardized tests to Oregon high school students. They'll still give them the test. They're just not going to use the data. It won't be used to determine, for example, whether a student has the skills necessary to graduate. Kind of an odd thing. You're taking the test, but the results don't count. Well, then I thought about it, and I've told you this example before. In education in this state, what used to be you're taking the test, here's your grade, study harder next time if you didn't do well, to a new version of that where you're just going to keep taking the test till you pass it. Hope you pass, hope you graduate. And here's the deal. If you don't do any work during your 4 years of high school and you screw around and you're getting into trouble, we can find an accelerated way to get you to graduate in an alternative setting, and we'll still give you the diploma. So, hey, you had fun for your high school years, but didn't have to study. Here's a way to kind of do an end run around that system. It's the modern way, simplified, of how things are currently done. Now, the argument, of course, and it was in the headline, is this standardized testing system is somehow unfair to people of color. Whenever I hear that, my initial reaction is that statement is unfair to people of color. You assume that they're marginalized. You assume that they can't do the work. You assume many things that may not be true. 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank talk and text line. I don't like this. To me, it's another example of dumbing down the system, dumbing down the process, dumbing down our kids to try to fix societal issues and things that ail us. Are there marginalized people in our country? You bet there are. Are there groups that have been preyed upon in this country? You bet there are. But is the way we fix that to not use the scores of the tests they're taking? Is the way to fix that to take it in a different direction? To not enforce the rules of conduct in schools because you're overemphasizing behavior and conduct to people of color? I would argue, no. Rules apply to everybody. And to make color the issue and not the standards of education the issue is doing a greater disservice than whatever it is that you're trying to fix here. 855-616-1620. I don't like this. I'm not an educator. I see the dumbing down of America happening in front of us every day. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's teachers' fault because teachers have very difficult jobs. You know this. You know those jobs are tough because we saw what happened when parents took on a greater responsibility during the pandemic. You know what? Parents failed miserably. You could be a great parent and a lousy teacher, and that's a reality that maybe people need to understand. We'll take a break here. Your calls and texts are welcome. Is it the dumbing down of America? I think so. Oregon's saying, we're going to take the tests, we're not going to use them. I think that's dumb. What do you think? After this on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Maybe, just maybe, these judges need to start learning that light sentences are not doing anybody a favor. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And in what I fully consider this to be a crime against mankind, you will find pumpkin spiced beer. Pumpkin and beer, to me, you can have pumpkin pie and wash it down with a beer, but pumpkin spiced beer, I'm sorry, I'm not down with that. Yeah.
Weekdays from noon to 3 on WTMJ.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you, who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Now these tend to fly off the shelves. But don't worry, because our connection supplies us with a lot of them. Vintage ceiling tiles from once great old buildings in New York City that make for ultra-unique artwork. These items are definitely hard to find from anywhere else around here. So come take a look, and you'll probably find a treasure. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Are you considering a career in media? With the help of the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Foundation, you can be a part of this exciting field. The WBA is offering 4 scholarships, 2 for $2,500 and 2 for $1,500 to assist students enrolled in broadcasting or related educational programs. Students who have completed at least one half of their degree or graduation requirements are eligible to apply online at www.wbafoundation.org. Applications must be received by 4 p.m. Friday, November 3rd.
October is here, and Griffin dealerships have a spectacular deal just for you. We'll change your oil, check your battery and air filter, inspect and rotate your tires, give your car a complete multi-point inspection, all for $129.95. Worried about your AC or heat? We'll check that too, and we'll even replace your wiper blades. Where quality meets the spirit of October. Don't be spooked by car trouble. Let our expert team take care of your vehicles. Visit Griffin for details. Embrace the magic of the Griffin dealerships today.
WTMJ Now.
A lot of textures, and we're talking about the decision by Oregon, the state of Oregon, to not use the results of standardized testing for reading and writing and math until 2029. And I say it makes us dumber. Yeah, you can have more kids graduate, but if you don't have the basic skills to succeed in life, what are you really doing other than just giving a diploma with no merit? Mike joins us from Illinois. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Another beautiful day in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin.
Absolutely. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. It is the dumbing down of America, and what bothers me most, it's to accommodate certain groups. I'm very tired of hearing that term, it's unfair to people of color. If that was true, then why do Asian students do very well on these tests and in school? And I believe it's because they work hard. They work harder. I mean, I was an average student. I did good in certain subjects, not good in others. But when I got to high school, I worked very hard and did very well. I made a choice. I made a decision. I think that's what it's all about. I don't think anyone is innately less smarter than anybody else. I think that some people just work harder.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Look, I believe every child has a right to an education. And I think that is something that we should all agree on. I believe every child has a right to a life that's not working against their best interests. Are there legitimate concerns for people of color? Absolutely. There's racism in this country. There's racism in this world. There's hate. There's a lack of economic fairness. income inequalities, lack of jobs. We were talking about child care earlier. That impacts people of color as well. But I look at school districts, school boards, and states, legislatures, and governors as sort of the reckoning, right? So how can we best serve our citizens, our taxpayers, our students? I don't think this does it. Now, I'm encouraged that they're still doing the testing. That's at least a win for common sense. And we're talking about the state of Oregon deciding. Now, one of the texters said, blame it on school boards. They're making these decisions. No, in this case, the state of Oregon. And the Department of Public Instruction, they have power. School boards have power. Principals have power. Superintendents, teachers. I'm concerned, and I'm not against change, because someone said, well, it's change. It's the way the new world works. Deal with it. Somebody also called me a bigot on the text line. See, I'm not afraid to say things. If we're afraid to say things, one, we shouldn't be on the radio, and two, we're not going to get to an actual solution here. From the 262, see, the problem is that the wrong people are always offended or surprised with these types of activities. You and I should not be the ones crying out for change. The people in the Black American community should be screaming about this time of mediocrity, but you hear nothing but crickets about this. I don't know that that's true. I'm not going to assume that's true. I would hope that any community of color or not says there's got to be standards. Again, not to over-focus on the workforce. We were talking about the child care issue before, a reality that I think some Republicans are going to have to face, that we're going to have to figure this out. If we want workers, you're going to have to make it easier to get to work. I paid for my own child care, my wife and I. We paid for our own kids. We made that work. But as the workforce and workforce challenge and manufacturers tell us it's challenged, we need to find solutions. And just saying things out loud like, yes, Wisconsin forward, and I'm not paying for something I'm not using, that's not realistic. Just like this, to me, is not realistic. It's not a real examination of what matters in school. You can complain all you want about all the issues in our society. They're real. But are you going to fix them through a curriculum in school? Or should you set standards that actually make it possible for kids to learn and succeed in life? A useless diploma, one that's generated out of either an alternative high school, where when somebody screws around for 4 years and in a 2-week or 2-month period they get a diploma because they showed up for that, is useless. There has to be standards that are realistic. Kathy says this on the Old National Bank Talking text line: we're only failing our youth when we don't encourage and teach them how to succeed. It seems like we're in the excuse-making business. Because of this, we can't do that in a general sense. Because of racial inequities, children of color can't do this. They're being unfairly treated, whether that's discipline, whether that's academics, whatever standard you want to use, whatever context you want to use. I don't buy into that. How someone behaves in school, how someone interacts with their teacher, how someone does on testing, writing, communication skills. At some point, isn't someone going to stand up and say, you know what? Here's the deal. We're not going to have cell phones, smartphones in school. That's done. Matter of fact, Ted Cruz, who I disagree with a lot, has actually been advocating for an outright ban on smartphones in schools. I would have zero problem supporting that. It's a useless interference in the educational system. Earl joins us on the phone. Always welcome. Earl, good morning.
Good morning. Several things. Number one, children are having trouble reading, and they have been ever since they took children off of phonics.
Correct.
I'll soon be 70 years old. And when I was in school, everybody could read. There was, rarely anybody who couldn't read. It was the process. They made a decision I don't know, 30 years ago to take children off of that way, and they went to something called whole language. And even in the face of knowing that that wasn't working, they continued to do that. Now it's good to see that in some instances they finally come to their senses and going back to what has worked. And so it bothers me when people say, well, those people in the central city, they can't read. Well, people are struggling to read all over. The suburban schools are certainly falling behind other globally when it comes to reading and comprehending and understanding things. But we have to come to a point where we get beyond pointing fingers at the people down there, or, it's not happening in my backyard, but somebody else's. And understand that if children in the central city can't read, that's an impactful situation for everybody. You can live in the suburbs, but don't think that if the children who can't read in the central city won't eventually have some impact on your life.
Well, that's exactly right, Earl.
When children can't read, they become adults who can't read, who then can't be a part of a society, and then they do what? They go to crime.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Earl. I mean, I love talking to Earl because Earl speaks from a position that I'm not part of. Person of color, understands, I think, very well the challenges. And I agree with him on phonics completely. That's why we've seen a pushback to phonics. That's a reasonable decision based on results. Now, if you're going to tell me that the state of Oregon is going to look at the results through 2028 and then say in 2029, all right, we're going to go back to it, I just don't see that happening. Rome joins us quickly on the phone. Hey, Rome.
Hey, good morning, and thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
And I'd have to say that Earl is right on with what he's saying. And I would like to preface that by saying that, as a former educator here in Milwaukee and in several other states around the country, there was a time, when affirmative action was great for those people that lived during the 50s and the 60s, especially those people that was growing up in the South where the schools were separate and unequal. However, I think that this generation of students, through hard work and through having, equal opportunities that they have now, it's just a matter of, them working harder. I know that the phonics play a big part of that because when they stopped teaching phonics as a librarian, I know that hurt our reading scores. And as Earl said, when kids can't read by the fourth grade, they're building prisons based on that type of information. So, I think the Oregon needs to, change what they're thinking of doing. And when you think in terms of, affirmative action in Oregon, there's not many people that would even fit that bill anyway. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Look, there are ways to approach education. They can change. It doesn't have to be status quo. Things can adapt and evolve, and if there's a better way, find the better way, and then prove it, demonstrate it. And one of the ways to prove it is standardized testing results. My sole concern on this is that kids graduate when they're ready to graduate. That means they've learned enough to succeed in the real world. We are graduating kids who aren't ready to succeed, and we're paying the price. You want to pay more for all the things that other people are asking you to pay for as a taxpayer? Don't fix this problem. I start with this baseline. Every child, regardless of their situation, poor, rich, urban, rural, whatever their background, should have the same opportunities, but they should also have the same standards. And if we are going to dumb down this system of education to the point where take the test as many times as you want, act like a fool all day during school, no one cares. No, you didn't break anything. There should be standards of conduct, standards of teaching, standards of learning, and standards for society. And the big picture concern I have is that last one, standards for society. We're seeing the byproduct of that. Ill-informed people, everyone's got an opinion. Half of them are wrong. It's concerning. It should be concerning to you. We've got a lot more calls, and the text lines blow it up. What do you think? Oregon says, we're going to test them, but we're not going to use the results in the graduation of a child. I disagree. I think testing matters. I think standards matter. I just talked about that. What do you think? More after this.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
Wake up with me. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:15 for Matzik's Morning Minute during Wisconsin's Morning News. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams in just 60 seconds.
It's a true test to all of us, but I do believe in the guys in that locker room in terms of the character that we have.
Every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News.
Lopez squeezes up a three, rattles another one through. Oh, it's contagious.
Sponsored by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Avon. I had snoring issues. You've heard me talk about them, tossing and turning restless nights to sleep. No longer. I did something about it. I went to one of their great facilities. I talked to their docs. And in a quick 30-minute visit at Advent, where they put me at ease, they figured my problem out. Sinuses, nasal passage, breathing triangle. They did a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. Short procedure in office. Bottom line, back to breathing well, sleeping incredibly well, rested, refreshed, positive. That can be you. Don't wait. If you struggle like I did with the restless nights, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com and schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Is your home drafty and cold in the winter? Retro Foam of Southeastern Wisconsin will fill your walls, lower your heating and cooling bills, and give you an airtight seal with their foam insulation. It's all done from the exterior of your home without any hassle or mess. Retro Foam offers a lifetime no-cost warranty with a property protection guarantee. They take pride in their customer service, treating all customers like family. Get 0% financing for 5 years if you call and mention WTMJ. Call today at 262-234-FOAM. That's 262-234-FOAM.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik for Flanners Home Entertainment. How about improving watching the team and the games this season by pulling the trigger on an upgrade to your TV and audio system from Flanners Home Entertainment? In an age of impersonable big box stores and risky online purchases, there is still our locally owned Flanners, where quality, service, the best brands, and guaranteed best price remain top priorities. Shop Flanners in West Allis, Grafton, and at Flanners.com. Flanners, sound advice at the best price. Just press play.
WTMJ Now.
Talking about education, Oregon says, we're gonna test the kids. We're not going to use the results when it comes to graduation rates. I disagree. A lot of great callers, lots of texts. You guys are spinning that text line. From the 262, Steve, get rid of the teachers union first, and number two, let me just say this. The teachers union is not the problem. I would also say that teachers' unions need to be more constructive and helpful to school districts because often it seems like they get in the way. And I get they're advocating for their members. I get it. I know how unions work. I was a union member once. So that has to be a more positive, constructive relationship. But they're not going to go away. So, but I honor the texter who gave us that opinion. He also says get rid of cell phones and uniforms for all. I don't disagree with that. Standards, we have to, figuratively speaking, take the educational system and shake it by the shoulders, right? And say, what are you doing here? These different curriculums every year, these latest, greatest, newfangled way to teaching. I understand that you get these presentations at school boards and school districts, and you go, oh, that's the new shiny thing, let's do that. But ultimately, that's not working. If it was working, I'd say, absolutely, sign me up. But it's not working because we're seeing declines. And this is, again, a big story, right? Because there's parental issues, right? Less involvement in some cases. There's economic challenges. There's transportation issues for kids in some ways. Bus driver shortage. All these things matter. But the bottom line is we need to graduate kids with enough education for them to succeed in their life. And my worry is that we're not doing that. Phil joins us from Cudahy, a city I grew up in. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Steve. Okay, so here's how I see this. And I agree with you about Oregon. But, there's an agenda. We all know this amongst educators. And I can't understand why we're tolerating these people taking control of our children. Okay, my kids are graduated now, but and when I was in school in the 80s, we weren't learning about all these social justice issues and spending all of our time on sex and genders and all of these peripheral things. Why don't we get down to the basics, spend the money on math and science, and get these kids learning the basics and push them out the door, instead of throwing all this money at it continually and coming up with neat projects and new ways of doing things that are quite frankly, they're constructed by the progressives that are, we all know they're going to destroy this country. But the thing is who gave the authorization to these people to teach our children these things?
Well, that's a great question. Thanks for the call, Phil, calling from Cudahy. Look, we are sort of giving the authorization. We, through the school board people we put in these positions, who choose superintendents, who choose teachers, who choose curriculums, plans of action, plans of study, standards, or lack thereof, my opinion. Ultimately, we're responsible for that. And I've cautioned, I know a lot of school board members personally from various districts, many who have reached out to me, commenting. I've met with them away from the show to ask about these issues. And I've told them, there's going to come a point here where your school board is going to change. And that's already sort of happening. They're going to be much more involved in the day-to-day operations of a school in this way. They're not going to put up with these, what I call lazy standards. They're not going to put up with it in a decline of discipline. They're not going to put up with you saying to parents, to the public, we just want to get the kids graduated. That's not good enough. And yes, society is changing. Yes, smartphones are part of our world now. They don't belong in classrooms. They never did. That's an easy one. The other one, which I've talked about forever, is discipline. That's an easy one. And somebody, the texter, made a comment about uniforms. I'm not even talking about uniforms. Just have some standard. You go into a high school now, in the fall, you would swear you're on the beach in Daytona or Clearwater. Beach wear is not appropriate clothing for school. I don't care what any administrator or any superintendent says. You need to have standards. You need to enforce the standards. If the kid's not dressed properly, put a T-shirt on them that you give them or send them home. Why is this so difficult? And because you've relaxed all the standards, just walk through. If you have a kid in school and you get permission, walk through the school. See what I'm talking about. And you know how I know this is true? Because teachers have told me this. Male teachers have said to me, I don't know where to look anymore. They're wearing inappropriate clothing. And yet this is the standard of teaching and schooling in our country? Absolutely not. Lots of great comments. You can always join the conversation, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line.
More of WTMJ now after this.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Team Pella executing incredible plays. Products with limited lifetime warranties. Amazing innovations. Blinds and shades between the glass. Stylish windows with hidden screens that make game days a breeze. Installation completed in as little as a day, leaving no mess or hassle. Just perfect results. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com. 6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 10/31/23.
This is Brad Youngblood with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. There's a lot of fluff around window sales, but what really matters is the type of people you choose to have working for you. That's why I want to highlight Semper Fi's own CJ Callies. He's been selling, measuring, installing, and managing window installations for 35 plus years. He has a depth of knowledge that allows him to see problems before they happen, and I swear, I think the guy can see behind walls. He's easy to work with, and I can't think of a customer who hasn't liked working with him, and he really is the kind of guy you're going to want on your job. CJ's in charge of our entire window and door division, and you can be assured he's going to have his hands on your project. Most companies focus on the product. At Semper Fi, we focus on our people and you, and that's never let us down. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure businesses and families throughout Wisconsin. With custom coverage and superior customer service, Ansay & Associates can provide all of your insurance needs. Visit ansay.com today and get a free consultation with one of our strategists. Or come see us in person at any of our local offices. Ansay & Associates, securing and protecting your American dream.
WTMJ Now.
Just reading a text during a break, we're talking about the what I said at the beginning, the dumbing down of schools, and I believe it. And I don't want to believe it because I think that we have a great country and that we have an opportunity. And what I always say, I have a mug at my home, in my home office. Opportunity, or rather adversity creates opportunity, and I think that's probably nowhere else than education is a great example of where that could be a real game changer. Greg joins us from Mequon. Hi, Greg. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
You know, Steve, I'm just going to say, I really believe that all of this school stuff is just another way for Republicans, the far right, of getting people and getting their thoughts. Because I'm telling you, I went to school. I didn't have any of that. I mean, did you have all of this stuff going on when you went to school?
No, because we had standards and discipline. We didn't get to take tests over and over again. You know, I don't know. Do you listen to the show a lot, Greg, or no?
I do.
Okay.
I love your show, Steve.
So, am I far right? Would you say? I don't think
you're
so.
Conservative.
In some ways, yes. And frankly, I'm sometimes offended by being called conservative, given the actions of those people. But
I want to do what's right for the students as well. I think we don't give them enough credit. I don't think we don't give the school board enough credit. We don't give the teachers enough credit. I just think that they've made this into a political thing, so they're trying to pick up more votes in the education area. They can't stand the teachers union. They can't stand it. And I just think it's more of a political issue now. I'll hang up and listen to you. But you got a great show.
Thank you, Greg. And I appreciate the kind words. Look, I'm not completely disagreeing with Greg. There are people in my party who use this as an axe they can wield to cause political damage. I'm not, this war on teachers, frankly, has dumbed down the profession because less people are going into it than were before. The war on unions is silly. There are jobs and occupations that should have unions in this country. I was in a union once. Do unions go too far? Sure. Do Republicans go too far? Sure. Do Democrats go too far? Sure. Power corrupts, folks. This is from the 262 on the Old National Bank Talking Text line. Steve, I got to tell you, it scares the heck out of me. Who's graduating out of school these days? Because I'm still going to be alive while these people are influencing policy. That's a wake-up call, isn't it? Back to the text. I encourage everyone to watch the movie Idiocracy. It's a funny movie, but there is a very serious underpinning. Let me just say this. As an observer of the country and society and culture and life, and you can disagree with my take if you want to. A lot of people do. I'm concerned about workforce. I'm concerned about the state of education. Am I picking on school boards or superintendents or teachers? I hope not. I'm challenging them to be better at what they do. I'm challenging parents, and trust me, I get enough angry emails from parents, and if you want to email me, steve.scaffidi, 2 Fs, 1D at WTMJ.com. I get a lot of emails every day. I used to be able to answer them all. I can't do that anymore. I tried to. I just want our country to succeed. And I'm going to use an example from earlier in the show. When I hear people in this country shouting down Israel, I know this is an international story, but it just bothers me. One of the most important allies we have in the world who are just responding to the slaughter of their citizens. And I hear students writing, press releases. I hear politicians, the Rashida Tlaibs of the world, having press conferences, ill-informed. and I feel like I have to say this every time, I'm not against the Palestinian people, never have been, never will be. I'm not against any people. I am against terrorists. And when I see the dumbing down of our country, to kind of bring it back, from people who are just ill-informed, who are more worried now about the response from Israel than the attack on Israel, I think you're misguided and ill-informed. And I gave you this number before. Anywhere from 38 million to 45 million innocent civilians were killed in World War II just because they lived in the theater of war. Innocent people will be killed in wars. Was World War II fighting? Are we going to argue about that now? I'll give you the answer before the test. Yes, it was worth fighting. And if we let terrorists win, again, because ill-informed, undereducated people in this country, our country, don't understand the relevance and the context of the world we live in, I worry about that. From the 262, last caller missed the whole point. The point of school is to educate, and they aren't. Political or not, they are failing if people can't read. Politics isn't everything. It's infected everything, including sports. Ask the folks at ESPN about if politics is in sports. Of course it is. It's in everything. It's played as a sport by people who are, for the most part, never good at sports. Something I've said for about 20 years now. You should be concerned. Let's squeeze Phil in before the break here. Phil joins us from Janesville. Hi, Phil. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hey, Steve. I got to tell you, I drive a lot. I'm a home improvement salesman, and I'm on the road a bunch, and I listen to you all the time, and I think you're always fair, and I appreciate that.
Thanks for the kind words,
So
Phil.
I have six kids. They all learned to read before they could go to kindergarten. The oldest daughter is a reading specialist in the Janesville schools, and the youngest just started her teaching career in the middle school. She has children who cannot read and write English in the sixth grade.
And stunning, shocking.
It is unbelievable. We always taught our kids reading is the most important thing. If you can read, you can teach yourself anything. And they've all applied that, different lines of work. But I was shocked when my daughter, and it isn't just like a couple kids, and they're blaming it on the pandemic and homeschooling, and you know as well as I do that some parents took it seriously and some parents had to work. So I'm not sure what the answer is other than I would urge everyone to read to their kids every night and lay the foundation. And I feel like the family, you don't sit around the dinner table anymore. And I don't know. I'd hate to think that they would relax standards and allow children to be passed on. And these sixth graders she has clearly were passed on without having adequate reading scores. So
I appreciate it, Phil. I love the fact that it's real life, real time, and I love the fact that your daughter is still doing the hard work of being an educator. That's a great kind of way to kind of put a exclamation point on this. I've had Maya Smart on, the spouse of Shaka Smart. And Maya Smart, if you don't know, teaches in the College of Education at Marquette. And she's a very strong, that's why I had her on the show, advocate of reading, encouraging reading from infancy on. And her book that we talked about was Reading for Our Lives, a literacy action plan from birth to six. And she means it. And I should have her on the show again because she was brilliant. She is brilliant. But the point of this comparison is that she gets it, just like the caller and his daughter get it. Now, whether you blame it on parents, blame it on the economy, blame it on the standard of our culture, the standards going away, the decline in responsibility. I think there's a lot of points you could make about all those things. But the bottom line is, what was the term they used to use in the 70s, I think? 70s or 80s? Reading is fundamental. Kind of important. It's the infrastructure of education because it allows you to process all the text, all the information, all the things you're going to need to actually have knowledge. And if you don't have knowledge, or you don't utilize the knowledge that's available, you get people ripping down posters of babies who were slaughtered in Israel. You get people screaming at school board meetings that have no idea what they're talking about. You have people who think they have good intentions of banning books in libraries. Consequences of what I'm talking about. Failures to educate. Again, not beating up on teachers, not beating up on school board members, not beating up on superintendents. I'm just asking you to think about the consequences of your behavior. And that's hard for people. But it's never been as important as it is now. Quick break.
More of WTMJ now after this.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Greg Scalzo for Smart Spaces. How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
Really looking at the entire space holistically. The environment, the walls, ceilings, lighting, flooring, furniture, technology, along with acoustics.
To conceptualize how the end users are going to interact with the room, from the furniture all the way down to the AV, having that work seamlessly within the environment and often hiding within the furniture.
Let Smart Spaces transform your business today. Visit smartspaceswi.com.
Abby Window. Do you know that we have over 8 different ways to install a replacement window? Most companies only have one. Not all homes are built the same, look the same, or even have the same old windows to remove. So how can you only have one way to install them? The answer is simple. It's quick and easy. Well, that's not us, and it will never be us. You can have peace of mind that the install we recommend is the one that will last a lifetime. If you want your windows installed only once and done right the first time, then call Abby today. And if somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl.
At Blaine's Farm and Fleet, we've helped hunters gear up for the season for over 6 decades. So as you prep for this year's hunt, shop unbeatable deals on supplies to make your trip successful. Like 40-pound bags of Easy Heat wood fuel pellets, just $4.99. 42-megapixel Moultrie trail cam kits, only $69.99. While you're in for hunting gear, save $8 on select bags of Iams dog food. And a 2.5-ton Laren floor jack with case is on sale, $64.99.
Find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you like using debit over credit, don't you think it's time you also get rewarded with Discover Cash Back Debit? Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Personalize your furniture and get it in time for the holidays at Ken Michaels Furniture's pre-holiday sale.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button back in June. Senior loan consultant Brad Kramer issued a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. Well, they made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about our brand-new property-specific pre-approval letter where we might be able to include those magic words, "No appraisal required." When they wrote their next offer at $30,000 over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their updated rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included the phrase that pays in the eyes and ears of the seller, and that translated to donedeal.com. If you think all mortgage companies and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with the local mortgage lender that has the tools and the know-how to help you win and save you money, too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
It's WTMJ Now.
Oh, you know that music. That means we're going to give away a pair of tickets to see Chicago, 855-616-1620. Brilliant band. Millions of album sales. I've seen them a dozen times. They always put on a great show. If you like brass in your rock and roll. Good move there, Charlie. They are the best, and they never fail to deliver a great performance. They're appearing at the Riverside Theater June 1st of next year, 2024. Caller number 8. Call number 8 to 855-616-1620. Look at those phone lines. Turn green there. So good luck to you. There's, 3 more chances to win Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's not always going to be in the 10 o'clock hour. It might be the 11 o'clock hour tomorrow. Howie's Kid People. I don't expect you to listen to the whole show, but, 3 hours in a 24-hour day, is that too much to ask? I don't think so. We're giving you some good stuff, great content this hour on education, state of education. And I got so many texts. This is how I'm going to end this conversation on this. So good luck to the 8th caller on 855-616-1620 and the pair of tickets from the Riverside Theater to see the Great Chicago next June. This is from Ryan in West Bend. You should see some of these parents, though. When I pick my first grader up from school, I look around and there's parents, faces buried in their phones. They barely greet their kids. You think they're reading with them at home? It's truly sad. So here is where I will chide parents. Snap out of it, okay? You don't need to be looking at your phone all the time. I know it's a country of freedoms and you can't tell me what to do, but it's embarrassing when you go into restaurants and everybody's looking at their phones. It's embarrassing when you look at a parking lot, everybody's looking at their phones. It's embarrassing when you go to a school assembly or a game and everybody's looking at their phones and at the assembly or the game that they're at. I said this once to a teammate. Your life is not that important. It isn't. Social media will be just fine without you. Matter of fact, I'm not on Facebook anymore. Do I miss it? No. I may not be Twitter anymore because I'm not going to miss that either. Because there's so many blockheads. Is that a nicer word than idiots? Somebody said I said idiot too much. Blockheads that you find on these platforms that it's dumbing down my sense of where the world's at. Well, the 262 last words from a texter. Steve, parents are part of the problem with schools. If kids that are disciplined at school, parents get upset and threaten with lawyers. That's a problem, yes. If they get bad grades, it's the teacher's problem. And demand the teacher bends rules on grades. My wife has been a teacher for 31 years, and there are no consequences because schools fear the wrath of parents. And I'm saying that's ridiculous. Parents, get a backbone. School districts, get a backbone. Kids, grow up. Act like it's school, not the beach. You don't need your smartphone. You'll live, trust me. I grew up without a smartphone. Just fine. Actually enjoyed life. Maybe you will too. News is next on WTMJ.
It's WTMJ now. Your weekly Bucks breakdown is back.
They want to win equally as bad as I do.
Bucks Weekly on WTMJ.
Now he joins a team where you have, as he has put it, the best player in the league.
And a new year brings new faces.
You'll see that I've gotten better year after year after year after year.
Get the latest news, analysis, and insight on your Milwaukee Bucks all season long. Bucks Weekly with Justin Garcia every Monday night at 8 on WTMJ. And catch the podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
I thought I was going to have to go through a hip replacement or some painful, unsuccessful surgery or be crippled the rest of my life.
Electrical engineer Dan Vogler had awful arthritic pain in his hips. Pain that not only affected him physically, but also emotionally. And it spilled over even to his relationships.
I was almost mean. If you're in pain and other people don't sympathize with it, you're lashing out at the wrong people.
But then Dan found QC Kinetics. With the latest advances in regenerative medicine, non-surgical treatments with lasting relief.
I felt immediate relief. I mean, within half a day, much of the inflammation and pain was down.
And today, Dan says he's totally pain-free, living the life he wants.
At the end of the 4th treatment, I felt pretty much healed and enthused and was raving about QC Kinetics. I can recommend them highly to anyone.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. Brands from Carhartt to Milwaukee to Purina to Goodyear to Rapala to Levi's and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
R&R Insurance does an exceptional job of providing employee benefits to all of us here at Good Karma Brands. Companies are starting to plan for fall enrollment for their workforce. Here's Jeff Salasinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Thanks, Vince. A benefit understood is a benefit appreciated. Knowing how to best communicate your benefits will help your employees understand their options, guide their decision-making, and increase their sense of value and engagement. In this tight labor market, businesses need to know how to use their benefit program to attract and retain employees.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
At R&R Insurance, we help employers brand their benefit packages in a customized, easy-to-understand fashion, taking out the complex and confusing nature of shopping for health insurance. With our latest mobile technology, your employees will have easy, immediate access to benefit information for themselves and their families 24/7. At R&R Insurance, we know employee benefits.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
I know. Mondays and Tuesdays can be a challenge. John Burke here from WTMJ here. Brighten up your day with a free dinner at the historic Fox and Hound Supper Club. With the fall colors here, now is the time to experience the Fox and Hounds near beautiful Holy Hill. Enjoy your favorite steak, seafood, a big pasta dish, a huge fresh salad, even the steak and lobster. Any dinner on the menu, your second one is free. Desserts and ice cream drinks. Buy one, get one free, and I love the desserts. Sip on a delicious Manhattan, enjoy an old-fashioned, bourbon, or select from over 100 fine wines. The Fox and Hounds, tucked into the Kettle Moraine, the setting is stunning. It's just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of the famous Holy Hill Shrine. The drive through the colorful Kettle Moraine Forest is breathtaking, a Wisconsin must-see. Escape from your kitchen tonight with a free dinner at the Fox and Hounds, voted the best supper club in the area. Tables are open. Visit foxandhoundsrestaurant.com and relax.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 11:01, it is 68 degrees. The high today, 77 with some sunshine, windy, and very warm. Could see a little bit of rain here and there. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Eric Bilstead. In Georgia, we'll start there. Former Trump campaign attorney Jenna Ellis is the latest now, pleading guilty in the Georgia criminal conspiracy case.
I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse.
Former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis delivered a tearful apology to the court as she pleaded guilty to a felony charge related to attempts to overturn the former president's 2020 election loss in Georgia.
I believe in and I value election integrity. If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump.
She's the fourth defendant out of 19 to take a plea deal. She was sentenced to 5 years probation and must testify in other trials. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Here at home, more questions and answers at the moment regarding what happened in Germantown at Kennedy Middle School there. A police shooting turns deadly. An armed suspect climbed on the roof Monday night, running from officers when the suspect fired at police. Police returned fire, killing that suspect. No other details yet about the subject. There were more than 50 students inside the school at the time for various activities. This occurred Monday evening. They were later reunited with their parents. No school today as that investigation moves on. Lots of activity in downtown Milwaukee near Water and Cherry. Body being recovered from the Milwaukee River there. Dive crews on the scene. MPD have not stated whether that death is being considered suspicious. A new partnership between the new Milwaukee Public Museum and Culver's was announced today.
The partnership will include $1 million from Culver's as a donation towards the Public Museum's new Milwaukee Revealed Gallery. That will include a custard shop where visitors can experience the sights and sounds of custard shops both past and present from Milwaukee's history. Notably absent will be any actual custard. As Museum VP of Development Julie Quinlan-Brame tells me, it's important to keep the exhibits that are real in the museum from any real damage caused by the tasty treat. In Glendale, Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
National recognition for a Wisconsin principal, Brookfield East High School principal Andy Farley winning the National Principal of the Year from the National Association of Secondary School Principals. During Farley's decade as principal there at Brook East, it's consistently named Wisconsin's top public high school. He tells Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Our mission has always been a commitment to academic and human excellence, and I think the award certainly is celebratory for our staff and students that all kids have the power and the ability to do well here.
Time now for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Things looking good on Wall Street. The Dow is up 217 to 33,153. The Nasdaq is up 91 to 13,109, and the S&P is up 25 to 4242. Annex Ignite, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client. They'll meet you where you're at. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
Radio Guy Emeritus Gene Miller here for my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. That's Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. Enjoy summer while it lasts, folks, because you know what's coming down the pike. Cold weather and high heating bills. It's not too soon to start thinking about new windows and doors from Hometown. They have options that fit every home, every style, and every budget, even yours. Their huge New Berlin showroom has the area's largest display of replacement windows, doors, and patio doors from national brands like Anderson, Pella, Marvin, Softline, and more. In wood, Fibrix, fiberglass, and vinyl, with scads of features including, wonder of wonders, blinds inside the glass. What's more, Hometown offers you dedicated project consultants with products installed by Hometown's own employee carpenters. Stop in today or call 414-329-1200 or go to hometownwindows.com. That's Hometown with an E for your every window and door need.
What you doing?
I'm completely sealing up all the doors to get the house ready for winter.
How will we get in and out?
We'll just have to hunker down till spring.
Sometimes getting your home ready for winter is best left to professionals. The same is definitely true for your vehicles. And now's the time to visit any of the 115 Adam member new car dealers to get your oil changed. Have your brakes and wipers checked and make sure your tires will get you through a long Wisconsin winter. Visit ADAMM.com to find the nearest Adam member dealer.
Small business owners can make a little of anything go a long way.
It's true. My bakery is made up of a little sugar, spice, and edible glitter.
Well, that's why U.S. Cellular is offering small businesses lines for as little as $19.99, plus $300 off any phone.
That's great. A little does go a long way. Unless we're talking sprinkles, everyone always needs more sprinkles.
Oh, of course. Get lines for $19.99 plus $300 off any phone today. U.S. Cellular, built for business, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Bucs fans everywhere have reason to celebrate today. According to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Giannis and Milwaukee have agreed to a 3-year, $186 million contract extension on Monday. Bucs president Peter Fagan speaking on the offseason that was had in Milwaukee.
And this is injecting some found enthusiasm in what was already a championship-level team and kind of, upping the expectations.
The Bucs will officially open their season on Thursday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Texas Rangers will await the winner of the NLCS as they go on for the Game 7 11-4 win on Monday night against the Houston Astros. Philly and Arizona will face off with a Game 7 tonight. Game 1 of the World Series will begin on Friday in Texas. Week 7 of the NFL concluded on Monday night as the Vikings took down the Niners by a final score of 22-17. The Packers will play host to Minnesota, who have won their last 2 games this upcoming Sunday at Lambeau Field. And lastly, Wisconsin redshirt freshman quarterback Brady Locke was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week on Monday. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Heads up on 4145 right around Highway Q there near the Menominee Falls area. An accident there slowing things down in both directions. You might see some congestion and some red lights there from the brakes, but otherwise you should be good getting through there. Just something to be mindful of. Again, 4145 near Highway Q. 94 eastbound Highway 16 through the Zoo to the Marquette. That's looking good. That's 17 minutes. 43 southbound Brown Deer Road into downtown. No problems there. 94 northbound looking good from Layton into the Marquette. That is on time.
I'm Brett Matchke, and you're due for service.
Richlawns Tire and Service Centers. 5 locations and all easy to find. Visit richlawns.com when you're due for service.
From WTMJ 5-day forecast, some sunshine, windy, very warm today, a high of 77. Tonight, showers are likely, cloudy, breezy, a low of 60. For Wednesday, rain in the morning, otherwise breezy, a high of 68. Thursday, storms likely, a high of 68. Friday, rain, a high of 68. Saturday, a chance for showers, partly sunny, a high of 52 on Saturday. Right now, in Milwaukee, 68 degrees. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
It's WTMJ Now. News, opinions, Wisconsin. Everything you need to know in the Badger State and beyond. here's your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Sandy Max.
And welcome to the 11 o'clock hour Tuesday show. Thanks for finding us on your radio dial or wherever you find us over the air, online, streaming, Google, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all there. If you actually just put our show into YouTube, you can see all the shows and interviews that we do. All right, so I don't often continue the topics through the news, but Susie is on the line. Been very patient, so I wanted to recognize that. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Susie.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for putting me on.
Sure.
Your topic is so deserving of conversation because I am a recently retired school administrator for Milwaukee Public Schools. 30 years, 21 of them were administrator. And although, a little bit of, I agree with everything you said, the piece that kind of struck a nerve is when you said something to the effect of like, come on, administrators, like grow a backbone. It's just not that easy, Steve.
Tell me why it's not easy. Tell me why it's not easy.
Well, okay, let me share that with you. There are so many factors that go into when we decide to remove a child from the education environment. And I agree that the behaviors are, you talked earlier about some of the outfits. So we get pressure, not only agreed from parents. I told your screener, I don't know if it's Brandon. I don't like those conversations, but it's so easy to have. I've gotten really good at those parent conversations. Not afraid to call a parent and say, kid's got to go home for a day or two or three or whatever. But then you get, as an assistant principal, the way it works in the district I used to work for, you'd have to have a conversation with the principal saying, hey, this is what happened. I think this child needs to go home for a day. You didn't just unilaterally make that decision. You had to get the okay from your direct supervisor within the school. Then, on top of that level, if you have so many suspensions within that school, then they really need to, that administrator, that principal needs to kind of reach out to their supervisor at the regional level within the district and say, hey, we're suspending more than this number today. And then it becomes the district, then they get the pressure from the state, the Department of Public Instruction, who says, hey, these kids are being removed from their educational environment. They're all, there's a thing called FAPE, free and appropriate public education. Can't take that from them, blah, blah, blah. Then on top of that, Milwaukee is involved in an Office of Civil Rights complaint for the last, maybe 5 years, because someone filed a complaint federally saying Milwaukee teachers are referring, when I say referring, like writing referrals, and administrators are suspending Black and brown children at a disproportional rate to their white counterparts. Mm-hmm. So there's just so many levels, Steve. It's like I said, it's so involved, and the general pop doesn't really understand the decision making that goes in and what we have to consider before we remove a child. I'm not at all saying, hey, these behaviors aren't warranted. Hey, that outfit isn't appropriate. Yeah,
Let me ask you this.
Real conversations.
I have so many questions for you, and I'm glad you stayed on the line. I'm glad that we're talking. So I understand all of that, and all of that's true. Matter of fact, I'm pretty familiar with the federal case because that is a barrier, I think, to improving the quality of education in Milwaukee. So as a educator, as somebody who was in the administrative side of MPS, given those realities, what do we do about that? How do we react? How should we react as educators, as school board members, as parents? How do we, because I know there's problems, I know there's challenges, but how do we get past that to actually making progress?
Oh, God, if I was smart enough to have an answer for that, Steve, that's $1 million question. I think there's there's a lot. And I think it goes toward, the social emotional learning, which gets away from the academic learning, not that social emotional and academics, you can't receive the academics if you're not right in the head, if you're hungry, if you're this or you're that. There's all kinds of things that get in the way of learning. But I think it's just really a deeper a societal thing. I don't know. I mean, we put so much on the schools to resolve and solve that it becomes such an overwhelming task, not only for teachers, but for then administrators, then for the district level. How are we doling out, curricular professional development, how to be a better, math teacher, English teacher, reading teacher, when we've got all these societal things going on? I don't know, Steve. That's a great question, and I'm not smart enough to answer it.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of education? You can do MPS because you were part of that, or beyond.
Yeah, I would love to say I'm optimistic. I would love to say, I'm a glass half full kind of gal, but part of the reason I retired on my 55th birthday was because it just got to be to the point where it was so hard, and the heavy lifting was just so hard, and we put our own roadblocks in front of ourselves, and that just got to be to the point where, man, I struggled with it, and maybe we, after 30 years, it's time to let some of these younger, do the heavy lifting, and maybe I need to step aside. So now I'm working for one of the universities at this level, supervising student teachers, and I love what I do because I'm actually giving feedback on what I observe in teaching and learning.
I love the fact that you took the time to call, and thanks for educating me. And just to close with this, thanks for your service to the community and to the kids, because I think that's why people do what you do.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you.
All right. Susie calling, former MPS administrator. I just wanted to get that piece of this story. And I don't typically spend an hour on a topic, but as you can tell, this is near and dear to my heart. My wife's an educator. I know a lot of educators. My youngest brother is a teacher in MPS. And I don't want to ever sugarcoat or pretend that I'm an expert, because I'm not. But as somebody who's worked in the public and private sector, I have an understanding and appreciation for standards. And I feel like, given my limited expertise in education, maybe with a little extra from the people that I surround myself with, that this is one of those critical, pivotal moments. And I understand lawsuits. I understand the rise of parents that are making it in some ways more challenging in the era of smartphones, and my kid's an angel and that teacher's not. I get all that. And that is a change, because trust me, as a child of the 70s in high school, kids were always wrong, teachers were always right. I don't know where we lost that metric or that standard, but I kind of wish we'd go back to it. Because for all the parents out there, your kid's not always right. Your kid's not an angel. Your kid's not your best friend. I don't know, you think that sometimes, but none of that's true. He's a kid trying to get educated. And this fixation on whatever that style of parenting is dangerous for not only your child, but for the country. And I know that's a strong statement, but I'm not here to have weak statements. All right, after the break, the latest. I was going to do this at the 10 o'clock hour, but that conversation was so good, I just kept it going. We're going to talk about the speaker's race, down to 2 people. Will we have a speaker by the end of the day? Boy, that's a great question. We'll explore it after this.
More of WTMJ now after this. Had a rough week? Not to worry. Relax and join Jeff Wagner every Friday at 2:35 for Pop Culture Corner. Brought to you by Palermo's Pizza. Come tell us the best of the best in pop culture, and you could win a prize package from Palermo's.
What is, in your opinion, the most memorable TV character of all time? Your one album, your favorite album of all time.
It's Wagner's Pop Culture Corner. Fridays at 2:35 on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Panoramic CBD. I'm an older guy, but I got aches and pains. I've had knee surgeries, and I went to Panoramic CBD, visited their offices, and I got some ointment that I put on my knee, and it takes care of that little pain that lingers post-surgery. The fact that I'm older, that's what I did. I was a customer before I was a spokesperson. Whether you're looking to reduce anxiety, pain like me, depression, or just need to relax, Panoramic CBD has the best products for everyone's needs. Trust me, I've tried it. It works. They farm, process, test, and package their own CBD products. Hence their slogan, from soil to oil, all the way through the process, every stage of the process. Panoramic CBD eliminates the middlemen, ensuring unmatched quality throughout. That's why I'm a customer. They can offer you the best CBD products at the best prices for you, and this is the cool part, and your pets now. Check it out. Shop local. Shop Wisconsin. From soil to oil, PanoramicCBD.com.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Get to and from every home game in Green Bay this football season safely. Milwaukee Brought House, Jack's American Pub, and Wanakee Golf Course all offer transportation on game days. They've got bus services with private restrooms and all-you-can-drink packages. There's still room for the October 29th and November 5th games. Book your round-trip ride and get access to an all-you-can-eat and drink tailgate at the bar on Holmgren Way. Make your game day experience a VIP experience with your official ride to Green Bay. Visit golfwanakee.com to book your trip today.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first. And then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
WTMJ Now.
Oh, I promised this earlier and I didn't get to it, but the process in the House of Representatives, the Republicans caucusing, meeting, figuring out they had 9 candidates yesterday and they went to 7 this morning and then it was 4 about an hour or so ago. Now breaking news, Elise Stefanik, one of the representatives who was kind of leading the coordination behind the scenes to get to a final nominee, has announced that the GOP has picked Representative Tom Emmer from the great state of Minnesota, home of the Vikings, boo, as their nominee. Now, the interesting question, the big story is when he's formally nominated on the floor, is he going to get 217 votes? And here's the reality for Republicans. If he doesn't, what are you doing? This would be more circus. Now and Elise Stefanik has been talking about this, they've at least said, we had a process, they've admitted that this was a mess. Republican after Republican saying this is a joke. Not me saying that, they saying that. These are very conservative members of many caucuses in the GOP who said this is a joke. They said, let's get together, let's pick our candidates. They picked 9, whittled it down to Tom Emmer, Minnesota. The good news for Republicans out there, he didn't sign on to the 147 GOP members of the House who said they questioned the results of the 2020 election. So that's a good thing, I guess. So that's a win for the non-crazies, right? My opinion. Those are my words. And at the same time, now can a non-crazy, my words, win the nomination as Speaker? We're going to find out, because if Emmer goes down in this vote, if he doesn't get 217, they just spent another week wasting our damn time. And as I say to Republicans and conservatives who support Donald Trump for president, all I care about is winning elections. You can have a rally candidate or someone you feel good about or someone that embraces election denialism or anti-vax. All that stuff's great if you think that. Fine, whatever. Free country. I want to win elections. If you're not actively working as a Republican to win elections, or as a Democrat if you're on the other side, what are you doing besides making speeches? So for Republicans, Tom Emmer is the guy. State of Minnesota. We'll see what happens. And I will be watching this afternoon after the show to see if they pick him or they don't, because it's going to be crazy if they don't. All right. If I was to ask you, we all have passwords, right? We're all on the internet and websites and bank stuff and school things and you name it. If I was to ask you, if we ranked all the states in the country on the security of our passwords for all of that stuff, where would Wisconsin rank? I'm going to answer that question after this.
More of WTMJ now after this.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape.
Senior political reporter from TMJ4 News, Charles Benson.
You got a sense of, how Milwaukee was enthusiastic about this convention.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620 and get a link sent directly to you. It's the countdown to the RNC podcast, only here on WTMJ.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam, and Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Greg Scalzo for Smart Spaces. How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
The technology frustrations we hear about, hands down, ease of use. We take that complexity out of it and keep it down to the bare minimum of what they need and what they use. Our goal is to lend a level of simplicity that any knowledge level can walk into that room and at a glance know exactly how to turn that room on and utilize all of its features.
Let Smart Spaces transform your business today. Visit smartspaceswi.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Yancey from Yancey & Associates. We're passionate about continuing on our mission to help more Wisconsin businesses create more success. If you have any questions about our insurance products or just want a second opinion about your insurance or employee benefits, I invite you to check out ANSI.com, or better yet, give us a call at Yancey & Associates. And let's have a conversation about your business and how we can help you secure, protect, and grow your version of the American dream.
WTMJ Now.
Sailing through the 11 o'clock hour on our way to Jeff Wagner coming up at noon. But before we get there, this story does not surprise me. Put me in the unsurprised category. Password security. If you're going to rank all 50 states. Last time I checked, there was 50 states. Producer Charlie will double check that my math for me, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Nodding 50 states, yes? Mm-hmm. He's shocked that I'm asking that question. So they looked at the security of passwords, password security across the country, 50 states, state by state. Examine the usage of passwords, reusage, length of password, longer the better, right? And whether the passwords are automatically generated, which is something that also provides some element of risk, or created by the user. So all those factors went into this. Where would you guess out there in Radio Land, however you're consuming us today, where would you guess Wisconsin ranked? The best or the worst? 1 or 50? I'll pause a moment so you can contemplate that question. Think about the state we live in. I'm giving you a chance to reflect on the answer. All right, here it is. We're the worst in the country. Number 50, not 40, not 30, not 20, not 10. Worst in the country in password security. Why does this not surprise me? I joked yesterday on social media, probably half the population of Wisconsin has fish fry in their password, or old-fashioned. Here's some numbers, as my boss likes to tell me, my old boss. Dazzling details about password security. 80% of Wisconsinites, not nits, nitwit might apply though, 80% of Wisconsinites admitted to reusing passwords for multiple accounts. Dangerous. Only 6.6% said they regularly update their passwords. 26% of Wisconsinites use one of those password generators. So what does this tell us about Wisconsin? One, we're lazy. Two, we like to complain about stuff, but we don't actually actively engage in lowering our risk of someone getting our identity, tapping or hacking into our Wi-Fi, stealing our information. Because frankly, we're more concerned about fish fries and old fashions. My words. The national numbers, almost half of the people that responded have not updated their password in 5 years. How is that even possible? Like, we're forced to update our passwords constantly. And I get mad about it like everybody does, but I update them and I make them harder. The easiest way that I can think of, there's still complex passwords. Pick 3 or 4 words, mix them up with a period between them. Make it 20 characters. That's the easiest way to do it. You got to remember what the words are. You got to remember or store them somewhere that's safe and secure. Here's the thing that drives me nuts, though. Nearly 1 in 4 of Americans include personal information in their passwords. Like birth dates, like addresses, like names. Seriously? You know what the top 5 states were for password security? This is the way it's supposed to be done. Rhode Island. Wouldn't have picked them. This one surprised me. Louisiana. Great food. Maine. Beautiful state. Maryland. I've driven through Maryland. Landed a plane in Maryland. I didn't land a plane. I was on the plane. And New Mexico. Those are surprising choices. What's the bottom of the list? Wisconsin is the worst, joined by Oklahoma, Mississippi, Alabama, and Nevada. Password security. Why does it matter? Because your information's stored in all the places your password protects. Send your feedback and comments to the Old National Bank Talk and Text line 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank Talk and Text line, or to Steve.Scaffidi, 2Fs1D at WTMJ.com. And that email is not password protected. All right. After the break, my buddy Christian Snyder will join us talking about a lot of things. We'll get his thoughts on the speaker race and a whole lot more. Author, columnist Christian Snyder joins us on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
Old National Bank.
I just got your home equity loan, and this feeling of joy and exhilaration overcame me.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon we call getting old.
Wow, so I'm not the only one?
No, small business owners feel it with expansion loans. Families feel it when they're setting up trusts and 529s. Nonprofits who need financing to help the community. And anyone who needs investment advice, they all feel it.
So it's not just me?
No, you're in a pretty big club.
Like a club I can join?
I really don't.
Is there at least a secret handshake?
Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Old National. Get old. Member FDIC.
You can give them the same old, or you can surprise them with something unique from St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Store at a bargain. Almost new, but really cool. The thing about thrift store gift shopping is that you never know what you'll find, but when you find it, you'll know it's right. That's what makes it fun. And if you just can't choose, gift cards are always available at St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
I've got an idea and I want to share it with you.
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the radio audience.
Oh, we're doing that now? What's the idea you have for the radio audience?
It's epic. It's unconventional. It's completely transparent.
Now you're talking to Monica and me, right?
No, I'm still talking to the radio audience.
Men or women?
Could be either one.
Say what you gotta say, Rick. Sarah and I will just listen in.
You're in the car. You're driving. Your partner is seated next to you. You drive into the parking lot and stop the car directly in front of Kessler's Diamonds. You turn off the car. You turn to your partner and looking them directly in the eyes, you say, "Do you want to go in and take a look around?"
Rick, that's gangster. Definitely transparent. Unconventional. Epic.
Kessler's has the strongest diamond warranty in America. When you read those 36 words, it's going to blow your mind. For the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
It's WTMJ Now.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say Thursday. Tuesday's show winding down. Jeff Wagner will be up at noon. Some of the texters said I was too mean to people in Wisconsin. Come on. Some of it's tongue-in-cheek, but let's be better. Do we want to be 50 on the list of anything the worst of all 50? I wouldn't think so. Password security? Do better. Stop putting fish fry or old-fashioned in your words that you use. Or mix it up a little bit. All right. Always looking forward to the conversation. Author, columnist, probably was a blogger at some point in his life. He certainly loves to enjoy fine alcohol, branding, and all that stuff. I don't even know where I'm going. Christian Snyder joins us on the Tri-County Contracting Hotline. What are you consuming these days for alcohol? What's your thing right now?
I go back and forth between Scotch and bourbon. Balvenie, I think, is probably my favorite Scotch. And there's all sorts of great bourbons, Knob Creek, etc.
You're the whiskey old-fashioned guy, right? Is that you?
I'm trying to become an influencer, so I mention this stuff, and then they send me free samples. But for liquor, that doesn't seem to work very much. Otherwise,
I understand the concept of influencing. I just don't know if I want to work that hard at social media because I'm kind of disgusted with social media right now, and I don't know that I want to encourage myself to be more involved.
So a few years ago, I had a subscription, like a weekly subscription to Jack's Link's beef jerky.
Yeah,
and
good stuff.
I mentioned it on Twitter, and then they started sending me all sorts of free beef jerky, saying just keep talking about it on social media. So I was a dried meat influencer for a brief period.
If you're going to be an influencer on something, I would pick jerky. I would certainly do Old Dutch potato chips, my favorite, or some variation of a popular beverage. So, yeah, there's something to be said for that. I just couldn't do all the other stuff. Anyway, so I don't know if you're paying attention to the news, and we're not going to focus on this too long. Tom Emmer apparently is the nominee from the GOP for the next Speaker of the House. Just from a general sense, it seems like they kind of got their, together, and at least this far. We'll see what happens today when they actually get to a vote. Is this the end of this process, or is this just like a delusionary phase where they're going to still screw it up when they get to the actual floor vote?
Oh, they'll screw it up.
Really?
Sure. Look, so the word I was just reading this in The Hill. The word is that Emmer got like 118 votes in their conference. So he got a majority of the votes in the GOP conference. So that's enough to take it to the floor, but he still needs to get to 217.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that are cranky about some of the votes that he's taken. Like he took a vote to codify same-sex marriage in federal law. And so, it's like a balloon. You squeeze one side and the other side gets bigger. There may be people like Matt Gaetz and kind of the knucklehead caucus will be for him, but then that turns off a lot of the other people. So he's still got a ways to go. He has 100 more votes that he needs to find.
Wow. So if let's say he doesn't get the votes, and they've kind of whittled it down from 9 yesterday. So if that doesn't happen, if it doesn't come to fruition for Emmer from Minnesota, then what? I mean, you tried to put this process together to kind of get back to whatever normal is now in politics, and that fails. Then what do you do?
Well, chaos is what a lot of people want,
right?
These Matt Gaetz and these folks, because it gets them in the news and it gets their name out there. So that's actually what they're angling for. They would love nothing more than to shut the government down and say that they're the ones fixing everything. But they really we've got Israel to help out. We've got to fund some Ukraine stuff. And if we stick around and do nothing for much longer, there are going to be real consequences. So they got to get something done here soon.
Christian Snyder joining us, author and columnist on the Tri-County Contracting Hotline. As a Republican and sometimes conservative, I look at the process to pick a nominee as troubled at best and just concerning at worst, I guess, and maybe scary. That Donald Trump, getting numbers like 58% polling numbers, not real votes. And then there's everybody else. So as a conservative and someone who writes about politics, is there any opportunity for sanity to return, my opinion, to this process? I know that no votes have been cast, so I mean that's a reality we should at least talk about, to get to a nominee that it can actually win an election against, let's say, Joe Biden.
Well, I believe, and I saw Paul Ryan give a speech a couple of weeks ago, and he believes as well. The first party to swap out their current nominee or their 2020 nominee for somebody new is the party that's going to win. The problem is Democrats are kind of stuck with Joe Biden, and Republicans appear to be stuck with Donald Trump. You know, the other candidates are basically waiting around. They want to be number two in case Trump goes to prison or something completely falls apart for Trump in his court cases. And I'm not sure that's going to work. I mean, he's been charged with all this stuff, and he's just gone up in the polls. So, George Will wrote a column saying, Tim Scott from South Carolina, who's a senator, needs to get out and throw his support behind Nikki Haley. That's fine, but they need to pick somebody. It's got to be like Haley or DeSantis or somebody for everybody to get behind and everybody get out.
But what do you do, Christian, when none of them want to drop out? And they're just going to keep having these debates where the leader's not even in the room and the rest of them just fight it out, and there's upticks on one side and somebody goes down. Haley's certainly made a little bit of a jump, and I would argue, since I wrote her in the last election, that she's got the most realistic chance of beating Joe Biden. But how do I convince other people that this is something we have to do as Republicans?
Right. Well, the problem is people are running for president now, not because they want to be president. It's because they want to get their name out there. They want to show on Fox News. They want all these other stuff. So they really have no interest in getting out whatsoever. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy is basically running to be Donald Trump's press secretary should Trump get reelected again. So. But unless everybody gets out and the rest of the party kind of galvanizes around somebody else, then, the party's stuck with Donald Trump again. And, the Trump people they're looking at polls saying he's in a dead heat with Joe Biden right now. So.
Yeah, they have come closer together because for a while Biden was leading all of those early ones. But again, no votes have been cast. That's the thing that national polling is one thing. I'm more interested in state-by-state polling and then actual votes in states.
Right. So when you look at states like South Carolina and New Hampshire, some of the early states, Nikki Haley is surging, and she's now number two behind Trump. The problem is she's still 30 points behind Trump. So she may be making headway, but it's not nearly enough to overtake him. People are just hoping that she's close enough to where if Trump collapses somehow, all these people pleading guilty in Georgia against him are probably going to turn against him and start testifying. So maybe that'll be enough, but it doesn't look good for the rest of the field right now.
That was my last question on this topic, is that do you think it seems like the prosecutor's strategy is to one by one flip these people so that at the end of the day or the end of the month, whatever, end of the year, we're looking at Donald Trump with all of these people testifying against him. You move up the trial date, you speed up the trial, and there actually is a decision in these cases, or this case specifically, Fulton County, Georgia, against the former president, so that the public, voting public, has a real measure or metric to actually cast their vote on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen some people argue that it's actually good news for Trump that these people are all pleading guilty, because they're not pleading guilty to the RICO charges or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But the reality is they're all pleading guilty because they're all probably now agreeing to cooperate with the prosecution against Donald Trump. So the more details, the more facts that come out, the more evidence against him, certainly the worse it looks for him. We may be speeding towards something, and of course he's going to keep trying to push this all past the election. He's going to say, well, this is a federal crime, so it belongs in a federal court where he has more control. So he's going to keep trying to delay, but everybody else, the dominoes are falling, and it's probably not good news for him.
He is Christian Steiner. We're going to shift gears completely. We're talking about things related to Donald Trump. He likes to talk about fake news. How about a fake profile generated by artificial intelligence? Christian will weigh in on that one after this on WTMJ Now.
WTMJ Now.
Hey, Sandy Max of WTMJ here. I've been telling you all summer about my friends at 3 Pillars. They are Wisconsin's top-rated continuing care retirement community, and they're located in a gorgeous nature-filled spot in the village of Dousman, smack dab in the middle of Lake Country. Continuing care means every facet: independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, and rehab. That means whatever you need, 3 Pillars is the best. And you deserve the best in your retirement. Learn more at 3pillars.org.
Leave low yields in the dust and never look back. Rev up your return on investment with Syngenta. Our innovative portfolio of crop protection products outperforms and out-yields any deal, giving you higher yield and profit potential at the finish line. Syngenta, where better yield is the better deal. Always read and follow label instructions.
All right, let's see here. Acuron corn herbicide. Powerful weed control? Check. Long-lasting residual? Check. Proven crop safety? Check. Acuron checks all the boxes, which is why it outperforms and out-yields all other corn herbicides by 5 to 15 bushels an acre. Talk to your local Syngenta retailer or visit findmorebushels.com to discover your revenue potential today. Always read and follow label instructions. Acuron is a restricted-use pesticide.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
Goodyear, Dunlop, Kelly, Continental, General, you name it, we got it.
Plus, free flat tire repair, free tire rotations, and more.
So when you're due for tire service, schedule it at richlawns.com.
That's Rich Lawns with 2 N's.
Rich Lawns.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Flimsy, feeble, flaccid. That's how you can describe most pre-approval letters these days. Heck, a lot of big banks issue pre-approval letters using soft credit pulls instead of real credit reports. Do you really want to compete in today's still low inventory market with a soft credit pull and a pre-approval that's silent on 2 of the 3 critical elements of a mortgage approval? A rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from AccuNet not only verifies your credit with a real credit report, we also verify your income and down payment, and then issue a letter with a $2,000 guarantee to back it up. And now, AccuNet is issuing property-specific pre-approvals that often come with this sweet phrase: no appraisal required. That's right, AccuNet may be able to issue your pre-approval at or above the seller's asking price without needing an appraisal. Today's home market is still a metaphorical knife fight. Your bank is offering you, well, a pocket knife. AccuNet is Crocodile Dundee. Now that's a knife, mate. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
WTMJ Now.
Oh, well done, Charlie. Producer Charlie on the show today. All right, Christian Snyder, author and columnist, wrote a piece, nationalreview.com this month. The title, A Government for Algorithms by Algorithms. And I mentioned before the break, using AI to maybe generate a dating profile. And you always seem to have the right idea, the same way I'm thinking about some of these things. Is it artificial intelligence or is it artificial lack of intelligence that we're masking here?
Yeah, so I started writing this because I found a couple articles about men who are now going to turning to artificial intelligence to write their dating profiles, but not even that. It's they're actually having AI answer messages in the dating apps for them. So it's basically like a Cyrano de Bergerac type of situation where men who don't know how to communicate with women, or I guess other men in some cases, they just have a computer do all their work for them. So, now we have like not just yourself, but your AI self out there in the world, and it makes a big difference when we relate to each other and the way we govern each other, because you have a bunch of people who are not real people. They're actually just computers kind of fighting with each other. So that's basically where we are.
So maybe the answer to better relationships is not to utilize artificial intelligence to write your profile. And you great piece, a great part of the story. I'm just reading from a single friend of mine who just graduated from medical school once asked me to edit his dating page, and I noticed he had misspelled the word physician. Kind of important as a student of a medical school, right?
Yeah, he was,
come on.
He was trying to brag to women that he was a doctor, and if you misspell the word physician, then it's kind of a red flag that you might not be a physician. So so basically let's get back to being actual real people who learn how to interact with one another on basic terms. A lot of the stuff that you see online is stuff that people would never say to each other if they were standing right in front of them.
Of course.
Because in many cases, they might get popped in the face if they said something like that. So basically, we have an entire society based on people who want to get punched but can't because they're hiding behind, some anonymous Twitter account or whatever.
Oh, my goodness. So, again, I'm a big fan of real communication. That's why I do a radio show. It's why I love to talk to people away from the show and have real face-to-face. And, then I talk to young people who rarely use their phone as a phone anymore, don't have real conversations, prefer emailing and texting to actual conversations. So if we're going to get to the point where the actual relationship is based on complete AI and generated by some lifeless being or whatever that is, what is the point of this? Because I guess maybe other than a hookup, this is not the standard bearer for long-term relationships.
Right. Well, this is actually somewhere where I think Generation Z has it right, because I hate getting phone calls too. If
really?
my phone rings for no reason, I shriek and run away. I hate talking to people on the phone, but it's that. It's the relations that we have with people of the opposite sex or romantic partners and all that stuff. But as I point out in the piece, it's also our elected representatives, because now they target these algorithms to try to get as much, as many viewers as possible. I mean, watch a congressional hearing one of these days, and you'll see one of these ding-dongs up there on the dais just screaming at people who have taken time out of their day to go testify in front of Congress on their expertise, but everybody has to have their 30-second viral clip, and so they start screaming at witnesses, and then they post it on Twitter and, go on with their day. So we don't have real people running for offices anymore. We basically just have algorithms running for office, and you can see what's happening with the speaker vote to bring it all back. This is why we are where we are right now.
Fake news, fake people. I always love talking to you, author and columnist Christian Snyder. 1916 The Blog, Anti-Knowledge. His great podcast, Wasn't That Special, on the... What year are you in now? You're doing all 50 years of SNL. What year are you covering now?
I'm just finishing up watching season 9.
Wow.
And then season 10, of course, is the big season where they bring in all the heavy hitters like Martin Short and Billy Crystal and those people. So
that's going to be cool.
Just getting to the end of the Eddie Murphy era.
Yeah, and I think you said it yourself last week on social media. This is going to be the most comprehensive look at all of these old, all the way from way back then to the modern versions of this show that's ever been done. And who's your co-host on this?
His name is Scott Bertram. He's a professor at Hillsdale College and loves SNL just as much as I do, and is much better at being on the radio than I am.
Oh, you're fantastic, and because he's not busy enough, also the creator of 0-Star Reviews. If you want to see what reviewers said about, music, musicians, movies, TV shows way back then. Interesting reads as well. Always great to talk to you, Christian Snyder. We'll do it again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, after the break, Jeff Wagner. See what he's going to talk about on his 3-hour extravaganza. After this, Steve on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this. Missing the playoffs in 92, some thought it was the then in 97.
The Packers are going to enjoy the fruit and the Lombardi Trophy.
And in 2011.
The Lombardi Trophy is coming home.
Now with a new soundtrack to the season, it's officially the